Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport. We hope you've had a fantastic evening. It is great to be back for this pro action. It is round 17 and 18 of the season, and it is fantastic to be back here at this Watkins Glen circuit. Tonight, though, joined in the commentary box by my partner in crime on a Thursday night. It is PN Motorsport. Phil, good evening. Great to be here at the Glen once again. Obviously, you raced here Tuesday night. Nice little break for you last night. But it's commentary duties today, and it's the weather has certainly picked up because it went from showers in GT4s Tuesday to quite heavy rain yesterday, and it is absolutely beautiful blue skies here today. It's a gorgeous day.
Well, I want them to have some rain as well. They've got to go through what we went through, and especially GT4s and the Pro-Ams last night. They had a bit of fun, didn't they? And tyre calls.
Yeah. He did have a little bit of fun, strategies all around. 5.5 minutes left of practice, and it is currently Jamal Clouden who leads the way from Dan Davis with Michael Echo. Mathew Pacina up there, he had a bit of pace. We saw that the insert coin Ford Mustang had a bit of pace around here last night as well. Mike Matthews within 6/10, and Harrison overtaker as well. Mark Fuchs within 1 second of the pace. We do have a new driver out there tonight, though, and it is in a Porsche. It is Will Friedman who joins us out on the circuit tonight for the rest of the season in his Porsche. Great to see him out there. And great to see another Porsche out there. Just behind him as well, you see Gary Leach in his Porsche. So great to see two Porsches out there tonight, Phil. Will Friedman, know him from another league. He's a very quick driver, and this could be an interesting one to see, especially reverse grid. Friedman will go from P1. So it's going to be an interesting one to see what he can do throughout tonight's race. But before we get more into that one, the championship standings, and with 452 points remaining in this championship season, Dan Davis leads the way by 86 points with Jamal Clouden in second. Overtaker's third, 125 points behind, but by the back of the grid for race 1. Qualifying ban for race 2. He's got a tough night ahead of him. Michael Harris is back. He's currently P4 with Robbie Racing in 5th. Gary Leach is up to 6th place ahead of Michael Echo, who's really been the man of form in this back half of the season since joining SimPlay Motorsport. Insert coin then is P8 with Mike Matthews down in 9th. Sky Shundelmeyer's P10 from Ian Gray in 11th. Tobias Hoffer P12. Ben is in 13th place. Pacina then comes just behind him with Dennis Newman. Fuchs having a great start to his campaign. Burton, Flem Speed 1. Then it's Joe Bates, O'Reilly Sauber, Kyle King, Ramey, Mitrovic, Stein, Clarbel, Cruiser, and yet to see Joseph this season. In that Constructors' Championship, there is 852 points up for grabs. And it is that of SimPlay Racing, who are currently leading the way by a lot of by a good margin here, really. Let's be honest. They are the ones to beat. 81 points clear. Not as dominant as in Pro-Am, but still clear enough at the moment. Team FBR just behind them with Quantum Apex Motorsport in 3rd. Greasy Bandits P4. Jaeger Motorsport P5. GK Racing P6. Effect Motorsport P7. BSP Racing P8. Effect Motorsport P9. FSO Racing Team P10. Then it is Vorta Racing Independent and Smoky Racing Independent. FSOs all leading that independent train. BSP Racing all leading that independent train in that one. From Pacina down, they cannot win the championship. And from Effect Motorsport 2 down, they cannot win the championship. But obviously, that'll all change as well tonight, won't it, Phil? With points being scored at the moment. But it is the man of Jamal Clouden who's really keeping down on his toes in this first practice session.
He is, well, what was I going to say? I've forgotten. This happens a lot. What was I going to say, Matt? I can't remember. You meant Gomez for instead of insert coin.
Gomez last night, yeah. Apologies.
Let us coin masquerade in a Mustang.
Going to be an interesting night, though. That Ford Mustang did look like it qualified well last night. Didn't see, race pace still. The Ford Mustang's got a lot to sort of get through and sort out, hasn't it? But at the moment, we are slowly. It looks like the Mustang is slowly getting there as each session goes on.
Well, yeah, because the drivers are getting used to the Mustang now, and because it's the newest car in the game. So, it was released literally just before our season started.
It was indeed.
So a lot of drivers probably did change their car choice at the last minute to go into the Mustang.
And this is going to be the interesting one, isn't it, tonight, Phil, of who can do what and who's going to be able to do what in this race, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but quite a few at-the-back starts. Pesina just did a practice drive through the pit lane. That's probably a good idea, actually, so you know where the lines are, even though I didn't see what he just did on the pit exit. Because you didn't.
No, we didn't, so it doesn't matter. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting night going forward in terms of all aspects of this. We saw last night how tricky this circuit can be. We've got that little bit going uphill, haven't we, from the towards the inner loop and then onto the outer loop. That's where the sections are going to get tricky and are really going to be the difficult ones to manage, isn't it? Going up there, 20 cars tonight in Pro, that's going to be the real difficult part of this circuit, to make sure that they get up there cleanly and safely as possible.
It is, and would you believe they used to have Formula 1 here?
Yeah, one race, Dan said last night.
More than one race. From the 60s they used to have it.
Well, there we go.
Not this configuration. This configuration was near the end. They still run IMSA here. They have a 6-hour race here of sports cars. Oh, yeah, I did watch it.
NASCAR as well, I think, come here, don't they, for the the oval stuff.
Yeah, they don't run the boot bit at the bottom. What is called effectively the boot. They sort of like just go straight on from the...
Yeah, so where they come out the outer loop, there you go, straight around the outer loop down, that connects then down towards the hairpin coming back uphill. So they skip this whole section where Michael Harris currently is at the moment. Good evening to Chris and Fury's Grandad in the chat, as well as Paul Williams and NRT Sammy. Let's go insert coin, he says, Paul Williams. Evening, everyone. Looking forward to this tonight, as always. Good luck, everyone, says Tony. And good evening, everybody, says Chris. Interesting. Will Friedman currently 6/10 off the pace at the moment. This is Michael Harris, who's 7/10 off of the pace. BMW not one of the favoured cars tonight. The favoured cars are the Aston Martins and the Mercedes and the Audis. There's none of them in Pro. So that's not the case for tonight, as we've got Dennis Dooman just behind Harris and Dan Davis just behind him, as Richard Beasley's now popped up into second. So it's going to be an interesting night of championship points for Dan Davis to see what he can manage to keep hold of or do in this one.
Yeah, and with FPR at full fighting force now, with both drivers back, because Harris missed Congrado wing last week. It'll be interesting to see how the M4 does around here as well. But we will find out, because we're heading into the race.
We are heading into that race right now.
So we just be on a clean lap.
An email.
Oh, Smokey's dot just disappeared and reappeared on my mini map. So that's got to go well, isn't it? So, who will win race one?
Well, this is the biggest question, Pien. Who are you sort of tipping? Obviously, I think I know who I'm looking at.
I'm tipping at someone in a very fast Beetle, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's not.
Friedman in his Porsche.
Yeah, it's not going to be hard with him starting on pole to look anywhere past Will Friedman in this race at the moment, as we now get to go to the grid. We've got Cruiser alongside him, though. Or Kreuzer, I'm going to assume is how that's pronounced. We've got Kevin Stein, who's he's been no slouch, has he, in that car?
No. But we've also got Smokey is 4th, King 5th, Fuchs is starting 6th. And
well, the Outlaws Motorcycle Club has said Eckholt. That, I believe, is Hansen from last night. So that one's going to be an interesting one. Votes already coming in straight away for Will Friedman. 2 votes straight away for him. Obviously, there would be one for other, but Hansen managed to get Eckholt in just put the comment in the chat. It's going to be an interesting race, that's for sure. It's going to be interesting to see what Will Friedman will be able to do from that front row of the grid, isn't it? He's obviously new to SimPlay Motorsport, making his debut start. And we saw with Romeo last night, that start he got in this reverse grid race was absolutely key to get away well.
Well, I didn't see the first grid last night because of things and stuff. So,
20 seconds.
Yeah, I kind of missed the start of the first race, as my cameras are completely locked into the wrong place while I'm going. So I'm now back on a normal camera.
Well, the tank is Darren Bell, by the way. He's going for Travis King, who is Vorta Racing, obviously part of that stable that they are in under the Greasy Bandits name as well. But yeah, it's hard to look past Will Friedman. The only way you can say you're probably going to look past him is if there's carnage at turn 1.
Yeah, and another thing I noticed, look how hot the track temp is. That's the hottest we've had it all week.
It's the hottest we've had it all week, and that's one of the hottest we've had all season. I think the last time a track was that hot would have probably been Imola in the endurance race.
Yeah, was it hot for one of the seasons?
Was it hot for... Did we have Imola in the championship? Was it hot for Imola in the championship?
I know we had it really warm. Hungaroring wasn't exactly cold, was it?
No.
Either?
I don't think it was in the 40s though, was it? Did we have somewhere that touched... Somewhere, I believe, touched the 50s?
Yeah, I can't remember looking back through the streams.
No. I'm with you on that one. So it's going to be an interesting day of racing, that is for sure, to see who is going to be able to do what. We have got 2 Mustangs out there, meaning the Ford Mustang will get its 50th race start this season. What are we
we did have an Aston and Pro, but that was Alex Power, and
It was, yeah.
He can't make...
He can't make... Yeah, due to work purposes, he's not able to complete the season, sadly.
But hopefully he'll come back into another season.
It'd be nice to have Alex Power back in next season for sure. That'll be a definite driver that we'd hope to see back out there, wouldn't it? You know.
Well, there's just something seeing that matte black Aston Martin nearby. It's just like,
yeah,
ooh, that's menacing. Or if he goes back to being in the Bentley, like he was the first time he raced for us.
The very first time, yeah, he was with us all many moons ago. This is going to be an interesting race, though, Pian. I feel. I just feel that we've got a situation here that could be, you know, one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, as I tell you what, them track temps are gonna. If it's that hot in race 2, oh, tyre change. Indy was hot, wasn't it? As well. Very hot. Indy was when we were at Indianapolis. I think, can't remember what happens in the last few weeks.
Apologies. Indy was a scorcher, yeah, and tyre change probably going to be imminent in this race because of the fact, you know, your tyres are naturally going so yellow due to the nature of this circuit. It's going to be an interesting one to see, indeed, as the drivers come down towards the heel for the first time then in this outlap. Will Friedman will lead them away.
It should be forming up 2 by 2 because the call would have been now to line up in double file.
I believe it's where the last driver is, so I think it goes more off of where the last driver is. And Dan is a long way away. Now they look like they're going to start to go 2 by 2 at the hairpin. Dan here is, you know, he's not close to being teleported, I wouldn't say, but he is hanging back a lot here. And well, he's got to make sure he's within that driver zone, otherwise that will be a out of position at the start.
And that would be the drive-through penalty.
Believe so. As it looks like on the track map now, Dan has got back onto the rear end of the field. So that is going to be interesting to keep our eyes on. Maybe just doing a bit of last-minute tyre preparation then. As Will Friedman exits the final corner. And 17th round of this 24 race season. Who is going to take the race win? Who is going to be the man to stand on the top step here? And for the 17th time, we are green and go here at Watkins Glen. It's a great start from Pesina in the middle. That's Ben already tapped into the wall, and he's now spinning round. Dan has hung back a country mile, doesn't want a part of it. Friedman's through the first part of the corner, absolutely fine. A few just running over the curb and a little wide. Kreuzer there, though, trying to look up the hill towards the back of Will Friedman, who has got a good launch already. There's a couple of cars side by side. That is King and Fuchs side by side up through the S's. They've held on tight well, and I believe Fuchs has gained the place. Though we are watching Will Friedman down towards the inner loop for the first time. He's got a decent lead over Kreuzer, and then Stein and Ramey Fernie in the background. Through the inner loop they go, all taking different lines. Look at Will Friedman run that curve. Kreuzer's under pressure now on the outer loop from Stein. Then it is Ramey Fernie. He's coming under pressure from Fuchs, trying to tuck up underneath on the outer loop. That's a great move from Fuchs with a bit of a laggy Ramey Fernie then. Fuchs moving up another position. Stein's just got ahead of that of Kreuzer. And now Fuchs looks like he's going to try and get past Kreuzer as well. He does. King's now having a look on the back of Ramey, who is dives up the inside, and there's another car spinning in the background. Not sure who that is. Croix has been tapped on the rear. And I'm not sure who has been sent around. It is the car number 13. That is Dennis Newman. And there's carnage out the exit of the toe.
Overtakers in there.
So who got through? So Will Friedman, Stein from Fuchs, Ramey Fernie, then it is Sky Schundelmeyer, Pacina was caught up, King was caught up, Cruiser I believe was caught up. I'm not quite sure who the car is behind Ramey. That does look to be Sky Schundelmeyer. Then it's Insert Coin, then it's Gary Leach, Ian Gray from Harris over Mike Matthews, then it's Michael Eckholt. Richard Beasley's just been overtaken by Clouden. There's Overtaker, there's Dan Davis. So Clouden's put 2 cars between him. Ben, who had the spin at the start of lap 1, he's now coming through. Bit of damage to the front of his car. Dennis Newman, and then King and Pacina already involved as Fuchs is on the back here of Kevin Stein. Early in this race, Pierre, it's a semi-decent opening lap to this one.
Semi-decent, bit of a fluster in the middle, on the base of the foot, towards heel. Because if that is a boot, that is the foot. That's the sole. That's what that could be. I'm making up corner names again, aren't I?
You are. Gary Leach trying to get on the back of Insert Coin. Gary Race doing the Ginetta. That is Michael Harris. Where's Mike Matthews gone? He's gone very wide through the inner loop. Eckholt's managed to get through. Kreuzer! He's bounced off the wall! That is a huge impact as we just flick to him. And Clouden, Dan and Overtaker all get through okay, as does Richard Beasley, who's trying to gain on Overtaker, but has got Dan with him. Ben's just behind Dan. And that from Kreuzer was absolutely massive. Pit window's open. He's even got a bent rear wing. That was huge. What has happened out front, though? Where has Fuchs dropped? He's dropped behind Insert Coin, who he's going side by side with. He's got front end damage to his car as well. And Insert Coin around the outside. Fuchs will have to fight another day. Here comes Michael Harris, and with Eckholt, Mike Matthews under pressure from Jamal Clouden. He's going to be trying to help his teammate out, that is for sure.
Yeah, as Gary, I think Gary's just got past Fuchs now as well.
Yeah, he has.
Who's going to be... the undercut was strong here.
Well, we don't... Yeah, but nobody really pitted in GT4s because there was no pit stop, so we don't really know. Apart from those who went to the wet tyres, yeah, so we don't really know what is strong. But that is a Lamborghini of Dan Davis. No, Dan Davis has now just peeled into the pit lane, so does Overtaker. That was a Ferrari, of Fuchs that's peeled into the pits. Sky Schundelmeyer is on the back of Ramey Fernie then. This is coming up the S's in towards the inner loop. We've got Insert Coin chasing them down. I assume we're going to see Newman, Pacina and Kreuzer in as well. Yep, in comes Newman. I assume the other two are going to follow suit, but Sky Schundelmeyer at the minute trying to chase down on the back of Ramey Fernie.
In the background.
Let's take a look. Yep, he's round. Oh, Beasley and Mike Matthews has been caught up. Beasley's on the roof of Mike Matthews.
What? What? Oh. Mike's got a bent rear wing. I've never seen a bent rear wing on ACC.
Ian Gray cannot turn. Richard Beasley's got huge damage. Mike Matthews as well. Absolutely massive. Clouden and well, Dan Davis will be looking. He'll be glad he's probably got that one because he was right up the rear wing of Mike Matthews. Sorry, Richard Beasley, but it's Clouden who has got Eckholt on the back of him. It's roles reversed for these two this week as Sky Schundelmeyer now's got Insert Coin on the back of Ramey Fernie.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Mustang train at the moment behind Ramey.
As the Sparking Gamer says, Team FBR, well, one of them has just had a nightmare with one of the Team SimPlay drivers, so that is, you know, for the constructors, going to be interesting to keep an eye on. Fuchs is clear, Overtake's clear, Dan's clear, Dennis is clear, so Fuchs drops down the order over the other three because they've all come off the pit limiter. Pacina and Kreuzer still in that pit lane, but it is Will Friedman from Kevin Stein, Ramey Fernie, Sky Schundelmeyer, Insert Coin, Gary Leach, Michael Harris, Jamal Clouden. Eckholt is going to come into the pit lane. Ben stays out, as does Travis Kinn. Mike Matthews returns to the pit lane then. Richard Beasley still going, and Ian Gray still trying to circulate. No, where is Richard Beasley?
He's off at the toes.
He is, yeah, that is Overtaker and Dan coming through. Richard Beasley returns to the pit lane, so his car clearly too much damage on that one. And that's Michael Eckholt, I believe, leaving the pits right now. Can't see his name on the list. He's there.
Eckholt's just come in.
Yeah, he has just... Sorry, yeah. I thought he got the wrong pit box. I think he got the wrong pit box. Looked like he was stationary for a while. Either way, back to this battle for third place. Ramy, Sky and Insert Coin PM.
Yeah, it's closest battle. This is an Alan Friedman to escape off the road because they are battling. Sky's having a look. But no, Ramey's right. Sky's on the inside.
Yeah, Sky is on the. Sky's going on the outside line of the Mustang down towards the heel. The horsepower of the Ford Mustang pulls it alongside, back up the inside. Tries to go the long way round. Insert Coin had to slam on the anchors. Great move from Sky. And that puts him up onto the podium places at the minute. Now what can Insert Coin do? Trying to go around the outside. Not far behind them is Gary Leach and Michael Harris. So they've got an interesting bit of a battle going on here. You see Clouden as well in the background. Is anybody going to dive into the pits? Gray, Mike and Beasley all in there. And the poor thing for Mike is he says 5 minutes, controls locked, but couldn't hardly turn. He's got to go round and come back in to do a pit stop as Insert Coin comes in.
So Coin's going to try to undercut this lot and get track position, obviously. Get out the dirty air. Especially from behind that Mustang, because she's a big old girl. I think Gray's going to be in the pits for quite a while as well. His car looks absolutely battered.
At least he's gone round though, so that'll at least be able to be a pit stop completed for him. He should stay ahead of Matthews and Beasley. Then Kreuser's done his pit stop. Mike and Richard still in the pits. Look, they're down to 19th and 20th now. Gray in the pits, as is Ben and Insert Coin, as Harris now right on the rear wing of Gary 13 Watt of Gary Leach, saying his PSN name again. And I believe there was a car off. Was that the Mustang? No. There was somebody off. Oh, Harris. Did he just bounce off the wall?
Oh, I don't know, but that's definitely got to be a track.
I think he has. He's got scuff marks on the front left. I think he's just clipped the wall there, Pierre.
Yeah, when will... Who will pit the lead group? That's what I was trying to say.
Eckholt completed his stop. Came out between Overtaker and Dan Davis, so I think he lost a bit of time in the pits. He came out ahead of Dan Davis. Now that's crucial for Dan, because depending on when Clouden pits, Clouden's on the back of Harris. You'd assume Clouden's going to pit relatively soon to clear that traffic. But at the moment... Yeah, just don't know at the moment. Newman 14th, Mark Fuchs is 15th, Pacina's down in 16th. Gray, Mike and Beasley all still in there. Is Beasley still locked? Yes, he is, as is Mike and Ian Gray. Still stationary at the moment as well. We're currently watching this Gary Leach Ramey battle. Ramey's into the pits, as is Harris, as is Clouden, and Harris nearly hits Ramey up the rear on pit entry. King's coming in as well. So keep your eyes on Harris, maybe for a stop-go penalty or a drive-through penalty here. This is crucial. Ian Gray's away. The Ferrari and the Lamborghini still stationary in the pits.
Yeah, it's 31 miles an hour. It's just so slow, trundling into it.
Yeah, it feels like an eternity. But it's Will Friedman who leads from Kevin Stein, from Sky Schundelmeyer. Gary Leach, the top four, yet to pit. Insert Coin, your net... I'm not going to say net leader, but at least net P3, P4, because of that early pit stop. There's Overtaker in the background, then Eckholt, then Dan Davis, then it is Ben from Dennis Newman, Mark Fuchs, Matteo Pacina, then it is Kreuser in his Lamborghini. We'll wait for the camera to pan around. Ian Gray's away, then it's Mike Matthews who's now away, and Richard Beasley still stationary at the minute, but Mike's got to come round and re-pit. Harris is now away. His stop is done. There goes Insert Coin. Harris is off the limiter. Taker coming through turn one. Harris comes out and will slot in between Overtaker. In fact, no, he might just be ahead of Overtaker here. Coming up the S's, they're side by side now. Overtaker doesn't need to yield. Still manages to keep that inside line. Does well not to make contact, the pair of them. Overtaker now on the marbles a little bit. Now he has the racing line. It's a straight out grunt match between the BMW and the pink McLaren. Down the back straight in towards the inner loop. And Overtaker still not yielding yet. Onto the grass a little bit. Now Harris will have that inside line. Neither driver wanting to give an inch. And Harris now finally gets ahead of Overtaker. And that is a great job from Michael Harris in the pit stop. Great fight though with Overtaker. Room and respect given.
There was, yeah. That was good side-by-side racing there. Take note, everyone who's hit each other so far.
King has come out not far off the back of Ben. Ben's 14 seconds behind Clouden. Clouden's been jumped by all of these guys. So Clouden, who had pretty good race, he's pitted too late and has allowed himself, or did he change tyres in a 20-minute race? Not sure. Richard Beasley, 6 minutes worth of damage he's just put in the chat. So he's probably still going on the countdown. But at the minute, it is Harris with Overtaker on the back of him. And it's a shame Harris missed last week, because he could still be right in this championship fight. But they're both taking points off of Dan Davis. But Dan won't mind this because it's not huge points they're taking off him.
No, it isn't. So, Friedman leads from Stein, and Sky, who's having another handy driving on an American circuit, isn't he?
And the Ferrari got its 100th podium last night. So that was great to see. I believe it could get it. No, the F1 stats are separate. This is GTs or any other series. No, it's just GTs actually, I believe. Yeah, I got 200 podiums. It can get to. No, there is no other milestone it can get to. Sorry. Today, the Ford Mustang will get to its 50th race starting race too, though. So there's two of them out there. And here comes Taker, who we didn't actually see. They get overtaken by Eckholt. He's now coming back up the inside through the inner loop, and Eckholt swoops around the outside and keeps hold of that position. So Overtaker drops behind Michael Eckholt now.
Yeah, and them two had a great battle in race one at Hungary.
They did have a cracking fight. Richard Beasley's out on track. Mike is back in for his pit stop. Just going to go back to that Michael Eckholt Overtaker fight. They're just allowing Harris to creep away and allowing Dan to get on the back. Gary Leach is now into the pit lane. So he's in for his stop. And what a start to this race already. There's been dramas, PN, but not on the opening lap. About a couple of laps in, there has been some dramas. And I assume it's going to be a busy weekend for the stewards. Down the back straight they go now. Down the boot they go now, in towards the heel. And it's a good little scrap. It's going to be interesting to see where Gary comes out. Gary was ahead of all of these cars on track before pit stops. This will show us roughly the undercut, PN.
It would, but now they're all battling, and Dan's now coming into this battle as well. So it's going to be very
problem for Gary is he's quite a way down the pit lane. He's away now. Car starts moving, so he starts rolling out the pit lane. Here comes Harris Eckholt, Overtaker, and Dan Davis. Clouden's a little further, 5 seconds back. There they all go. There goes Insert Coin. There goes Harris. There goes Eckholt. There goes Overtaker. There goes Dan. Gary's now off the limiter. Not going to matter. It's not going to matter. He came out ahead of Clouden, but he's got himself a stop-go penalty for speeding in the pits. Now back to the Michael Eckholt, Michael Harris battle. The battle of the Michaels.
And Dan Davis.
Taker's just dropped off the back of Eckholt, and Dan's kept it about 1.3. He's not really gaining on these three at the moment, but they're not squabbling too hard.
No, not here. They're not trying to steal each other's apexes, are they? Stein now as the pits. Dan's not wider than the wall.
So Dan Davis, he's well off. He's in the wall big time, is Dan Davis. Huge slide there. That is Clouden, who now might try and sail through.
It looked like he clipped the curbs, because the curb, you go too far over the curbs and they just launch the car.
So Dan clipped the curbs, from what PN saw, on the inner loop, that is, coming into the outer loop. That's what's unsettled him. And he's now behind his closest championship rival in Clouden. And Clouden, well, they're both going to gain a place over Gary Leach. Harris is off. That's Insert Coin with damage as well.
Yeah, Harris was off.
Did Harris catch Insert Coin? So Eckholt through, Overtaker through, Gary got through. So did Harris and Insert Coin have a coming together? Insert Coin had a bit of a gap over Harris as well. So not sure what happened there. The question's going to be now then. They've obviously gained more points as Dan and Clouden. What damage does Dan and Insert Coin have over the other part, over the other field? Stein and Schundelmeyer done. Eckholt's coming around the final corner. Schundelmeyer coming to pit exit and is off the limiter now. And Eckholt's not going to be able to do that. Gary, oh, you can't pit there, Mush. You've got to be under that yellow line, let's not forget. He's staying out. He's got 2 laps. Good evening to DJ Phil in the chat.
Yeah, as only Friedman and Smokey are to pit. I'm just want to call him Smokey. It's just...
Dan Davis, half a second off the back of Clouden. Now how does he approach the inner loop? Obviously he's going to have some rear end damage. He took a big clout on the left hand side of that car. Surely that is going to have damaged the rear into the tyre wall. So what is Dan's approach into this inner loop going to be? Will Friedman's in the pit lane. That's how good a lead he's had.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see his falling place when we go to...
Nice and smooth for Dan Davis there through the inner loop that time. You see the damage and the scuffs on the rear and left-hand side of that Lamborghini down the hill towards the chute, I believe it's called.
I'll go find the track now.
And into tow they come. An insert coin on the back of Gary Leach. Now, Gary Leach not really in this fight, is he here? So it's going to be an interesting one. Chris saying that he wouldn't want to be a steward tonight. Well, there's been a few tickets already got in from last night as well. If you missed out on that one, go back and watch a wet Watkins Glen from Pro-Am last night. That was carnage also. Good evening to Hypertech as well. Clouden now gaining on the back. I think Clouden here could have jumped Eccles and overtake it had he pitted early.
I think Smokey's pit stop's glitched.
Why?
Because he's not pitted.
I haven't seen him in.
I'm sure I should see him pit. Or he didn't put any fuel in.
Gary's in for the stop-go penalty. Chat, let us know if you've seen Smokey Devil in the pit. I don't think I have, as Dan's just clipped the outer wall on the last corner. Just saw the car clip it. Insert coin struggling to gain on the back of Dan, though. This is good for Clouden, though. At the moment, yes, it's only 7th and 8th. Could be 6th and 7th by the time Ramy Fernie does his pit stop, which he won't do. So that is Smokey buggered in this race at the moment. Where is he? He's only at the inner loop. Yeah, that is the 952. That is Fuchs who's had a moment. That is down by the back end of the circuit. Pesina not close enough to get through those. Fuchs carries on his way. I don't think Smokey pitted, Pian.
I'm sure I saw him pit with Overtaker and that lot. So, unless he hasn't put enough fuel in the car to trigger for 25 seconds.
He's either not done the 1 litre or it has glitched out on him. He'll obviously, if it's glitched out, he'll be able to put a ticket in. And
he'll be able to put
and he'll be able to show us, and if that is the case, then Smokey could get 3rd place. A dry Glen is bad enough, not a nice track. I love the Glen. I think the Glen is fantastic. One of America's best circuits.
Forget the Las Vegas. I don't know why they go here. Bring F1 back here.
I'm talking proper racetracks, not street circuits.
Well, get rid of COTA as well.
I'd rather COTA than Miami and Vegas.
Exactly. Proper race circuit. You know, you got grass.
Dan's been passed by Ben and Harrison. Insert coin. Dan's got huge damage. Just noticed that he's tumbled down behind insert coin Harrison Ben, and Dan has got huge damage in this race. And here comes King and Dennis Newman.
Here he comes. He's pulling over.
So what has happened to Dan Davis? Gary Leach and Fuchs will be able to come round as well. Dan's got to do one more lap. Friedman's on the last lap. And Dan's going to probably get to the line before Friedman comes. Here comes Gary, about to put a lap on Ian Gray, who just stays well out the way. Dennis Newman's in the closest fight, though, with Travis King.
I'm just going to load up Dan's stream. I think he's got engine damage. That car's not revving. I'm just going to check, see if he's got an engine light on.
So Dennis Newman now on the charge over Travis King. There is Richard Beasley in the back.
Fully black.
Does that mean his engine's gone? Check somebody else's stream and see if that's his engine gone. Has he absolutely done his engine in here?
Who else is Tibbs? I'll just check Tibbs' stream.
He's rolling it to the final corner. Dan is stationary. Dan is stationary off of the circuit.
Yeah, Tibbs does not have a black engine. Dan's engine's gone.
So Dan's engine's gone. We're currently watching this battle. We are going to, though, tune to Will Friedman, who looks like he's going to take fastest lap and the race win in this first race, and on his debut at SimPlay Motorsport. So Dan's parked up, obviously waiting for Will. If his engine has gone, he's rolling down the start straight. Dan's lost out now to Gary and Pesina, but will not lose out to Kreuzer as Will Friedman comes to the line. He takes a race win on his debut. Kevin Stein takes P2. Great drive for him. Smokey will cross the line P3, but will tumble down the standings due to not pitting. 132nd penalty. Sky Schundelmeyer will come across for that 3rd place. Michael Eccles, P5, huge championship points pulled back. Overtaker as well, going into a race where he's got that qualifying ban. Overtaker taking P6. That is absolutely massive. Clouden, how big is that for him for P7? Insert coin to the line now for P8. Michael Harris, well, what happened to him? An insert coin, that's P9. Ben, good recovery. He was off on the start line, let's not forget, P10. We then, await for King. Dan Davis, down in 16th place. And Mike Matthews down in 19th. That's not the results them two would have wanted at all. Here comes King, though, to the line. And that is going to be P11 for him. Dennis Newman just couldn't get him at the end. That is going to be P12. Not a bad drive for Dennis Newman. Mark Fuchs is going to be the next man to the line. He's going to take P13. And then it will be Gary Leach to take 14th place, who had that drive-through penalty. He's actually got Pacina not far behind him. So Pacina's not a million miles away. There goes Fuchs. Where is Pacina? He's right on the rear wing of Gary. Gary makes a mistake on these two corners. Very slow through that first one. Nearly got it. In fact, Gary's got rear end damage. And now Pacina's going to try and go around the outside. I think the grunt to this Ford is going to do the Porsche to the line. Pacina versus Gary. This could be a photo finish. I think it's going to go the way of Pacina. It does go the way of Pacina. So Gary 14th, 13th place for Pacina then. Fuchs got P12, obviously, because Ramy Fernie. So apologies, the results are a little out of whack. Dan still 16th, 14th place for Gary Leach. That is going to be 6th place for Clouden. Either way, we'll get them results sorted during the break, and we'll be back in a few moments' time. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport here for round 18 and race 2 of the night. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic one. Michael Eckholt is the first man out on track. Championship standings going into this race. We can confirm that Smokey did pit with about 8 minutes of the pit window left, so he either didn't do his mandatory fuel or it glitched out. For him to do that, he's going to have to put the ticket in so we can have a look at it. And the Sparking Gamer insert coin lost it in front of Harris and collected him. And others involved was on a top run. So that is possibly what happened earlier on in the race. The championship standings, PN, look for very, very interesting reading, don't they? 68 points is the gap now. Clouden on the back of Dan Davis. And you can score 57 for a race win and a fastest lap and the pole position. So if Clouden can do that, he could be on some good points in this one. Overtaker's only 103 behind, so still in it. But he has a qualifying ban in this race. Michael Harris is 146 behind. A lot of work for him to do, really. RB Racing's P5 with Michael Eckholt now moving into 6th place. What a shame he's not done the full season, because he'd be a man to keep an eye on. Gary Leach is P7 with insert coin P8. Sky Shundermeyer P9. Mike Matthews P10. Ian Gray P11. At the moment, then it's Tobias Hoffer and Ben. Pacina manages to move up ahead of Dennis Newman. Then it's Dennis Newman, Fuchs, Stein, Burton, Flemspeed 1, Travis King, Joe Bates, O'Reilly, Ramey, Saber, Kyle, Mitrovicanen, Klarbel, Kreuzer and Joseph, who's yet to race. In terms of that constructors fight, SimPlay Racing 70 points now with 107 up for grabs ahead of Team FBR because of what happened to Dan Davis at the end of the race, and with the fact that Harris managed to score a few points over him after Harris's incident. They close that gap. Quantum Apex P3 with Greasy Bandits P4, Jaeger Motorsport P5, GK Racing P6, Effect Motorsport P7 with BSP Racing the first independent P8, Effect Motorsport 2 P9, FSO Racing independent P10, Vought Racing independent P11 and P12 is Smoky Racing independent. PN, it is now from Tobias Hoffer down that can't win the championship, and still from Effect Motorsport 2 down who cannot win the constructors. But you know, with the points on offer in this one, it's going to be interesting. We also saw that Dan had another moment at the bus stop, at the inner loop, in the practice session. So he's a man who's struggling through that inner loop this evening.
It looks like he is, yeah. Might not just gel with Watkins Glen. I don't know how well he did on Project Cars 2. But last time really we raced him.
Good evening to Dean Wasocki in the chat as well. Well, Dan Davis here has only ever had, we've not done many races, but Dan has only ever had one win, never been on pole at this circuit. So it shows it's not his forte. It's not a British circuit, but yeah, it's interesting to see that even the best buckle under the pressure. Drivers who have got pole position though, Peaceful Explosion, Gary, who's out there tonight on Overtaker, but he can't qualify. So there's drivers out there that's got pedigree, and obviously Will Friedman winning the fastest lap to his name. What a start to his career that was this evening here at SimPlay Motorsport, as Michael Eckholt's going to be the first man towards the line before Mike Matthews, and Eckholt does a 1:45.3. That's a pretty good lap. Might see some dipping into the 44s. Mike Matthews loses a bit of time to that one. The 5:12 we're going to then pick up towards the line in a moment. That is Stein, as it is Schundelmeyer who goes second. Stein doesn't set a lap time. Then we're going to go to the car 17. Whoever's in front, that was Ben, who bashed off the pit wall a moment ago. That puts Richard Beasley up into second place. Michael Harris overtakes Dennis Newman, Kreuzer and Fuchs all have qualifying bans, as does Ramey Fernie, as Harris does not set a lap time. What about the 36 of Clouden? Was the quickest in practice. What can he do in this session here? Needs a good lap time, invalid for him. What about Dan Davis now then?
Yeah, we're found out at the moment sometimes the blue dot lies.
Yes, it has been doing this season.
He's been lying.
As here comes Dan Davies, got very close to that pit wall at the exit, goes top of the timing screens for the time being. Matteo Pacina comes to the line now. Goes within 3/10, goes P3, and next up is Gary Leach to the line before the 1, 2, 3 of insert coin. Where will Gary Leach go, PN? Who's your tip for pole here?
I'll tell you what, I think it might be Friedman, because
I'm going to go the way of Clouden in free practice.
Clouden's had practice in free practice pace, hasn't he? I can't actually see where everyone is on track. Hashtag on blind.
Well, Travis King's the next one coming round on an invalid lap, it says. Just behind him is the 33 of Michael Eckholt once again. It says he's on an invalid, and this is his second lap. Travis King goes P5. No improvement there. What about Mike Matthews? He moves up to P4 now. Sky Schundelmeyer to the line. Can he get a time better? No, he stays P5. Kevin Stein moves up a little bit. Here comes Ian Gray to finish his next run then. Does he get on the board? He does not. What about Richard Beasley? He stays P7. Now Michael Harris. What can he do? To the line he goes up the order to P8. Here comes Will Friedman at the moment with Clouden on an invalid lap behind him. Will Friedman top of the timing screens. Here comes Jamal Clouden, invalid for him. So now we turn back to Dan Davis, who is 1/10 of a second behind Will Friedman.
I'm not replying to that. Here come Dan to the line.
Replying
Does
to
Dan
what?
improve? What's someone's just said in chat.
Yeah, they're having a chat between themselves. Dan does improve and goes pretty much the same time over his opposition. Gary Leach now.
Gary's attacking the curb a little bit and bouncing
Yeah,
on
he's
it.
got to have a bit of work to do in this second race to pick up that pace. Here comes Gary Leach, only goes P11. So a little off the pace when you compare that to Will Friedman.
Next is the 1, 2, 3 of Coin.
Yeah, Coin's on an invalid, which
really
goes
bad.
P11. So I wasn't
it's-
even watching Coin because it said he was invalid. But there we go. He goes P11. Here comes Travis King. Then it'll be
Let's
Mike
go
Matthews.
for-
The 36 of Cloudens returned to the pit lane.
Let's see how King goes for Volta Racing. Let's have a look. No improvement.
No
There's a-
improvement. Stays P10. It's
Mike's
Mike
behind.
Matthews now. Finds a bit of time.
Does improve, but not in position.
Not,
Next
he's not
is-
improved or not enough for what he'd want. Next is the 34 of Harris. So let's see where Harris can get.
Ray set the time in the P13, even though he had the blue dot. So there you go.
Yep,
the
so we've
damage
missed
being-
Great. Here comes Harris. Moves up to P3.
P3.
What about Will Friedman just behind him? Can he find any more time? Not this time around. Right, we will go to the 140 then
By
of
the way,
Ben.
Dan's fastest. We missed that. Dan
No,
going
we
fastest.
said no. I said that. I said
Did
about
you? I
that.
didn't
Yeah, I
see
said
that.
about Dangry fastest. Yeah. Here
Yeah.
comes Ben towards the line. Goes up to P3. Not a bad lap time that from Ben.
And next is the mighty Mustang of Piscina. As it's got the grunt.
Yep, stays P5. Sky Schundelmeyer stays in 8th. Gary 131 coming back around. What will Gary do?
Come across the line, but he's through.
I think
He
after
was.
they've set a lap time, it then doesn't show. Gary improves to P12, 1.4 off the back. Next up is that, though, of Insert Coin, who could try and improve on his lap time. So this will be an interesting one. And stays P13, no improvement for him. The 81 is next. That's Travis King. Pientalker's over the line.
As he rounds the final corner, doesn't take as much curve as Gary did on entry, but on exit uses all the track and crosses the line. Any improvement for T King? No, he's pulled over. Probably get a fresh set of boots and go again.
Here comes Jamal
that's
Clouden. Still no lap time for Clouden. He's leaving this late, PN.
He is a little bit. As Gray now rounds the final corner and it's across the line. Does Gray find any time?
Finds a little bit.
Oh.
I think he found a 10th or two, did he not? If not, struggling is Gray. Mustang next.
Is
Oh, sorry, next is Friedman. See if he improves. We're not watching him. No improvement.
No. Then it's the Mustang again. So that came round quick.
Full loop. So the Mustang's on his way back around. Interesting to see what he can do this time. Only half a second off the pole. That's quite good for the Mustang as well.
It is. We've got to think. There's not many setups like there for this car yet. So
And improved slightly. Just goes under half a second. He's going to call that one a lap. Probably a fresh set of boots, like you said a moment ago. Here comes Gary Leach.
what does Gary do? Wish you had the Mustang's horsepower now. So
Doesn't
launch
improve.
a car down the street.
Yeah, I reckon this man does as well. Insert coin in his Honda.
Well, how would the BOP?
Who goes
fans do?
P12? Well, the ballot BOP, insert coin would lose 29 kilograms of weight. So, you know, that's where he'd be. Dan's on an invalid lap, it's saying, but the dot is blue. So we are going to go up to Mike, see if his time changes. That stays at 6/10. Next car is Clouden. Evening to Max Mulder and the BSP Esports team. Here comes Clouden to the line. Needs a lap time on the board. Gets one, goes 8th. Not a great lap, but it's a lap.
It's on the grid. He'll be ahead of all the non-qualifiers.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing to note. Overtaker would be 16th place. Dennis Newman would be 17th. And then we've got Kreuzer would be 18th. Fuchs would be 19th and Ramey would be 20th. Here comes Will Friedman to the line. Any improvement? No, not this time. Here comes Dan Davis.
Dan's blue at the moment, but again, we don't know how. Because the game's been a bit like that for the last couple of races, hasn't it?
Yeah,
really?
a couple of weeks. Seems to be
Let's
when they're on
see
the first flying lap out the pits that it stays blue. It doesn't seem to go valid when they cross the line to start their first flyer. So let's see if Dan is on a valid lap or not. Let's see if Dan improves on this lap time or not. No. As Gary Leach. Oh, Gary's had a big moment in the background. Oh, he's in the pit wall.
Oh, well, that's that run over for Gary. And so,
He can return to the pits to get another run in. Here comes Richard Beasley, currently down in P12. He's looking to move up the order and goes up the order to P8. Kevin Stein now in the background. Whereas insert coin came into the pits. Here comes Stein. No improvement for him. We then turn our attention back to Mike Matthews.
Who says he's light blue, but again, have to see.
No improvement from Mike. What about Ben? Next is Jamal Clouden. No improvement for Ben. Jamal to try and get onto that front row of the grid. Does get on the front row of the grid. 0.02 of a second quicker than Will Friedman. What a lap from Clouden. Here comes Echo PN.
Echo crosses the line now. Does he improve? I'm watching the time.
Nothing.
And now it is Will Friedman himself. Rounds the final corner. Unleashes all the ponies in his Porsche. Any improvement for Will?
Oh no, nothing. Nothing. Now Dan Davis's turn. And Clouden just needs to find that magical 10th to stop Dan Davis getting another pole position this season. That'll be an extra point. This will be where Clouden will want to get that momentum going forward.
Yeah, because he's got the biggest point deficit to gain.
Exactly. Dan's still got it all to play for. Clouden's got to do the chasing. That's Porsche's third win of the season. 1 in GT4 and 2 in GT3 now. 1 last night and 1 tonight. Here comes Dan. Nope, no improvement there.
No improvement.
We turn to Richard Beasley. 7/10. Oh, he's clipped the wall. Yeah, he's clipped the wall. 7/10 if you've had a bad lap isn't much to gain. He's lost a lot of time there. Here comes Stein. All these drivers are going to get one more lap in, by the way. Stein now moves up to P8. Now Michael Harris. Sorry, PM.
No, I was only about to say no, Harris.
Harris stays where he is. Mike stays where he is. Ben stays. No, just improves slight little bit. Jamal Clouden, who got very close to the exit wall on the last corner, doesn't improve this time round. Gary's probably on an outlap. We don't see him improve. The 33 of Eckholt. So Dan's going to be the first one to finish. Eckholt moves up to 5th. Insert coin to the line now. He doesn't improve. Will Friedman now to the line. Can he get himself back on the front row of the grid? No, not at the moment. No, and the first man to finish qualifying will be Dan Davis. Sorry, PN.
He's got enough time to get another lap in, hasn't he? Yes. Friedman. Give it everything, just stay within track limits. Because they're a bit harsh around here in some places.
They are in places. Right, here comes Dan Davis. Little wiggle on the exit of the hairpin. Really pushing it hard.
Can Dan find
Gary's on an invalid lap, but we'll ignore that. Dan's boxing. Dan's bailed.
Dan has bailed,
so the next car is the 512 of Stein. Pacina's in the pit. Everybody's in the pit, pretty much.
Yeah. Everyone apart from Stein, Mike, Ben, Clouden, Gary.
And Gary, yeah.
Gary and Friedman's done. Friedman's pulled over.
Friedman has pulled it over. Here comes Stein to the line. Needs half a second. Does he find? He goes P5. What does Mike Matthews have in the tank now? Needs 0.6 of a second. Gets perilously close to that outside wall. I think Ben's just clipped it. Ben's bailed. Mike moves up to P8. Ben has bailed on his lap. The 36 bails. It looks like Dan's going to take pole. Gary clips the pit wall. Unless the 33 of Eckholt can find 0.3. Gary moves up to 30th at the very end. But unless this guy can find 0.3 of a second, it looks like it's going to be a Dan Davis pole. It's not a Dan Davis pole! Eckholt pulls it out of the bag at the very last minute. And he takes pole away from Dan. He takes the points away from the championship leader. And that is huge for Jamal Clouden. What a lap, PN.
What a lap. We didn't really watch all of it either. And he just took out the end. Last man standing.
Absolutely fantastic. You say be out there at the end for the wet weather when it's going dry, but that was textbook from Michael Eckholt, who's been Mr. Race too quite a bit this season. He's won 3 of the last couple of races. Will Freeman down to 4th now because of that. Ben also down to 5th. Stein, good qualifying up in 6th place. Eckholt, though, pole position at the very end. That was absolutely, truly, that was a Dan Davis lap that you normally see at the very end.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
And that now for Eckholt gives him his 2nd pole position of the season and puts him in a big category of people on 2 poles. The only GX Mart, Jay, Welshie, Stealth Sloth, Nicky, Deeks, Boss Soft, Aidan Bennett, AH, Sky Shundlemeyer's only on 2 pole positions, Green Wolfinator, Baraba, Dennis Newman himself, Tobias Hoffer, Doctor Who, AA Ratchet and Sully all on 2 pole positions. What a drive from the young man. Bangs it on the front row of the grid. Fantastic. Also, that is McLaren's now. Where are they? That is McLaren's 81st pole position. They are only 7 behind Mercedes in terms of becoming the most poles here at SimPlay Motorsport.
How would McLaren be affected with the BOP if we run the BOP?
McLaren, BMW, Lamborghini and Ferrari all gain and lose. BMW loses 3 kilograms and then the other 3 gain like 7 or 8. Not a lot. The OP cars here are Mercedes-Benz. So the Mercedes-Benz had gained 17. The Aston and the Audi had gained 16. BM had lose 3. Ferrari had gained 2. Honda had lose 29. Lamborghini had gained 9. McLaren had gained 7. Porsche would lose 1. Ford had gained 1. So there's not a lot of difference in them cars. The biggest loser is the Honda. The biggest gainer is the Mercedes. Well, there's only one Honda out there, down in 14th. So when you look at that, fine, that's pretty, retrospective. You put the BOP on insert coin and all of a sudden it looks better. Good evening to Centrix, aka Romeo in the chat, who says let's go Ian. Good evening to Peaceful Stepdad as well. A great timing to Sparking Gamer from Mr. Eckholt. Indeed it was great timing. That is fantastic. PN, who's going to win this 2nd race?
I'll tell you what, if Eckholt doesn't many qualifying laps, race laps at that speed, Eckholt will, because that was a blinder of a lap.
Pole going out now as well.
But it's an hour-long race and anything can happen in that hour. What I want to see is a nice big rain cloud.
There is no rain for tonight. So you can wish away there is no rain for tonight. It is all clear. 19 people currently watching the stream. Guys and girls, hit that thumbs up button if you like what you see here, as well as hit that bell to be notified. And subscribe to the channel if you are new. Next week we head to Zandvoort. We're going Dutch. Next week join Dan Davis live 8 PM GMT +1 for the GT4s. On Tuesday, next Wednesday is myself and Dan Davis back in the commentary box, and next Thursday myself and Phil will be back with all the pro action as we head into what is the final week of drop scores for the pro as well next week. Obviously, Pro-Am get the extra week due to what happened back at COTA with the half points. So it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye out for, isn't it? Obviously, with them drop scores coming in. A lot of people's drop scores are 0, but, well, Dan could gain points tonight because of that drop score.
Yep, he could. Well, we'll find out, because this hour race might get very spicy. The question is, though, with that track temp, that's going to not be good for your tyres, is it?
No, you wouldn't imagine it's going to do your tyres any good. But, hey, let's wait and see what happens. And let's keep our eyes peeled on what is to come. So for Dan Davis at the minute, he lost 18 points to Clouden in that first race. But his drop score, so Dan Davis' drop score is 78. Is that going to work in Dan's favour? But bearing in mind, Dan's third Project Cars Championship he won in the McLaren 650S. Andy at the back half of the season kept dropping his score up until he couldn't, and Dan ended up winning the championship because Andy's season went downhill. This could help Dan at the moment just have a bigger margin going into them races, obviously next week being the last week for these pros with the drop score.
Yep. As they really should start double filing now.
Yeah, the old Smokey's a little bit behind. I think that's why they've started late. And that'll be why the race will start further down the start line. Dan really trying to get some heat in his brakes and tyres there. You see him pulling forward and coming back, pulling forward and coming back. Really trying to get some heat in them tyres.
Well, in my case, I just have my finger resting on the left trigger a little bit, just to warm my brakes up a bit. Because I also put heat in the tyres. Especially in the GT4s, they kind of need it.
Yeah, they do. No tyre blankets. Right, round 18, it's green and go. It's a good start at the moment. Further back, it's Pacina who pulls out. Ben's also pulled into the middle of the road. Overtaker sort of sat behind a lot of traffic and heading into turn 1. Clouden already looking up the inside of Will Friedman, who's going around the outside. Taker's around then at the background. We'll go back and see the damage he's got to his car in a moment. But Dan already putting pressure on Eckholt as they come up through the S's. Will Friedman's got ahead of Jamal Clouden out front. Then it is Ben and Stein behind. Will Friedman now attacking the back of Dan Davis. Coming down towards the inner loop. Clouden thinks of following Dan. He's going to have to be earlier on his brakes. There's a few flags waving in the background. Dan defending from Will Friedman though. Through the chicane they come. And Dan manages to hang on in there over Will Friedman. Then it is Clouden from Ben, Kevin Stein, Michael Harris, Mike Matthews, Pacina, with Richard Beasley losing out 1 or 2 places. He's trying to tuck under that Ford Mustang through the outer loop. He's got Gary Leach having a look at him. Sorry, PN.
Overtaker's just quit. He's just disappeared. He pulled over and just disappeared.
Well, that will probably be a qualifying ban for Overtaker next week. He's just got rid of it. That'll be a qualifying ban for retirement in this race then.
His internet dropped.
And the 81 of Travis King's also fell behind.
Yeah, as I'm not going to watch Smokey because his car is lagging all over the place. And we don't want the server to crash now, do we? Again. Ben's doing well in P4.
Ben is doing well in P4. Just looking at the front though, Friedman trying to put Dan under pressure, and Ben has cleared, like you say, Jamal Clouden at the moment. That's what Dan Davis needs.
Yeah, he needs people to be between him and Clouden, so it puts Clouden at the title picture.
Yeah, that's exactly what Dan wants, and Dan will be hoping for a big score here, especially if it looms around his drop score area. Eckholt started to pull away. It is a good lap 1 though. Here comes Stein having a look at Clouden. Clouden goes defensive very late, I have to say there, Phil. And no coming together, but Stein manages to stay in front at the moment.
You mean Clouden stays in front of Stein? Yeah, or my. Because there's a freeway now for P4, 5. I can't count. I really just can't count.
It is a little bit. Here comes Stein again, looking on the back of Cloud, and Mike Matthews also having a look behind on this of Michael Harris. Here comes a Lamborghini driver, looking to go up the inside. Now around the outside, he's off! He's off! He's in the wall! And really, that looked to me like it's where he's hit the curb. He's lost the car, and he's had to wait for everybody to come through, and that's put him down the back of the pack. No one's fault really there. The car just lost it on the curb, Phil.
Yeah, Well, I was watching him as watching a battle between Ben and Clouden, to be honest.
Dennis in the chat, we want to see Fuchs. We'll go on board Fuchs as he's got Beasley right up behind him. Beasley's having a look up the inside. Fuchs is trying to look up the inside of Gray as well. So a little fight happening down the order. There's Smokey's Mustang disappearing and reappearing.
Yeah,
And Mike Matthews tumbled down that order. He didn't hit the wall overly hard there, but what that has done is turn them nice. Pirelli tyres! Beasley's tapped Fuchs around!
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But
Beasley's waiting.
waited.
Yeah, Beasley's waiting. Mike Matthews goes through. Look, and Beasley waits for Fuchs to go. So there you go. We'll come off of that one for the time being as we're going to go to insert coin, who's on the back of Dennis Newman. Kreuzer as well on the back of Ramey. Gary's on the back of Smokey Devil. We've got Pesina trying to hunt down Harris. And Dan Davis, fastest lap of the race, has pulled that gap back down to Eckholt with Will Friedman there. Clouden can't do anything at the moment.
Will was a little bit wide on the exit curb for turn 1. Oh, I love Watkins win. Oh, such a glorious circuit.
Insert coin all over the back of Dennis Newman now. And Newman's in the wall!
Was there contact?
Not sure if there was contact. Newman struggling to turn that car. He gets it stationary. Here comes Mike Matthews. The yellow flags will be waving. Newman cannot turn that car left at all. Oh, and that is it, Beasley!
Oh.
When it pours, it rains.
Yeah, he should have just returned to pits soon as he had
Phil,
damage.
take over.
He should, as these two were now. Beasley's car's heavily damaged. He can't turn either. Dennis has returned to the pits.
Yeah, I'm not surprised Dennis has returned to the pits. We're probably going to see Beasley in the pits, but there's a great scrap behind the Ford Mustang now with Mathew Pesina. He's got Sky Schundelmeyer and Gary Leach right on the back of him, and Harris involved in this fight. That's twice Beasley in this race tonight, Phil, has picked up huge damage, and they've both had to return to the pits. Beasley is going to be unhappy with that one. Dennis moved slightly as well, that's the problem.
Yeah, Dennis should have just waited until the whole field go past. Yeah, okay, you lose positions, but you're not. A stationary car's more predictable than a moving car.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting to see.
This is why I was to do it.
This is going to be an interesting race to watch now. Beasley obviously affected by that overtake. His retirement in this race means he will score diddly squat. I mean, he's got time to get back in and do the 75%, but it's probably not going to be that way.
Yeah, as Dan is defending hard from Friedman.
Hypertech in the chat saying those rejoins, and again, Dennis stayed on the brakes and tried to move it out of the way.
Dan's gone around.
And where's on his own?
No, I think they made contact because Friedman's backed out of it to let him go back through.
He has backed out of it, and Dan has gone around. Oh, and Dan's hit a stationary orange wall!
Yeah, and Friedman's waiting for him.
Friedman's waiting for Dan. It is all going wrong for the championship leader. Well, this will definitely be the drop score you'd have to assume today for Dan Davis. It is also going to be a non-points finish. Will Friedman's ruining his own race by waiting for Dan.
He is.
Dan is not going to be going in this race, and I think Will Friedman now gets the message and off he goes. But it's been absolute chaos at the start of this race, and it's now Eckholt from Ben on for his first podium. Jamal Clouden now sitting in that podium place, but he's got to score more than 78 points because that looks like it's going to be Dan's drop score. Here comes Pesina in P5. Sky Schundelmeyer from Harris, from Gary Leach on the back of him. Then it's insert coin trying to head down after Ramey. Kreuzer, Ian Gray, Travis King, Dan Davis fast a lap, crawling back to the pits. Then it's Will Friedman ahead of Dan, sorry. Then it's Mike Newman and Richard Beasley still stationary in the pits. But let's go back to that Gary Leach, Michael Harris fight. It has just all gone wrong here at the Glen.
It has. So just remain stationary. However, you're going to move.
Where that was for Dennis Newman, just stay stationary. It's a tricky part of the circuit. It's
are blind.
Yeah.
They're blind because how close the barriers are.
100%, 100%, and that's going to give. That's going to give Richard Beasley obviously something that he's not going to be able to see. And up and over the crest of the hill they come, and that's his game over.
And we're at another narrow circuit next week, aren't we? With the old Zandvoort.
We are, as Harris is going toe-to-toe, sorry, Phil, with Sky Schundelmeyer coming into the bus stop. This is going to massively help FBR, by the way, with Davis. Overtaker's back in. So
yeah,
he's
that
got...
must have been internet. That must have been internet. Maybe. Or his pad died.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. He's got 2 minutes. It's bonus that it's not over 75%, so he can still score points.
Everyone's just been disconnected from the server.
Not sure why. Everything seems fine on the server at the moment. I don't know if that's because Overtaker's just joined back in. But all looking fine at the moment. Harris has got ahead of Overtaker. We'll wait for PN to come back in before we ask him anything. And let's see what happens here in this one then. So Dan Davis now gets it back to the pit lane. And, well, he's got 2 pit stops to make in this race. That's a shame for Dan Davis, but for Harris, all good so far. We're waiting for Sky Schundelmeyer and Gary Leach there, still in a battle down to Kreuzer as insert coins past Ramey. Kreuzer's now on the back of Smokey Devil. Guessing Friedman nudged Davis there, seeing as he waited. I'm guessing that's what me and Phil are going to guess as well. Yeah. And
But good sportsmanship.
Oh, Sky's round! Just looking up at the screen, Sky's around, he's moving, and he reverses backwards into the wall. That could again be absolutely unnecessary. Now Mike Matthews is coming. He's doing himself more damage by just not waiting and spinning that car around. Speechless, says Richard Beasley. Richard, get the tickets in, mate. We'll get them looked at as soon as possible. Obviously, helping you and Hypertech out. Oh, Tibbs is round in the wall again. So he's got even more damage. Back to Fuchs, who's on the back of Ian Gray. Will Friedman's gain on these two. Well, it's gone horribly wrong for Sky. It's gone horribly wrong for Dan. It's gone horribly wrong for Richard. Overtaker, we're not sure what happened. Dennis clearly moved, and if that ticket goes in, that is a slam dunk for moving. You cannot move. If at the end of the day, PN, the stewards will look at this one. If Richard hits Dennis and Dennis is stationary, what can Dennis do? Richard hits Dennis after Dennis moves. That's the problem. There's a error for Fuchs on the curb through the bus stop. Off he goes. He's managed to keep it going, and Will Friedman, he's now around the outside of Ian Gray, coming through the outer loop.
I don't know. Do we have rallycross at Watkins, Glen?
I'm not sure. Not quite sure.
Because we're certainly seeing it today.
Well, and it's the Honda that does the grass cutting. There's plenty of people being off. Gary Leach still on that rear wing of Harris, 4P7 in this one. And again, Dan saying, come on, man, in the chat. Well, the only benefit that Dan's got today is this will more than likely be his drop score. He'll get 78 points because he's not going to score enough to add to his 15 to get that 78. He needs 68 points. You can only get 55 with fastest lap, 56 with fastest lap. So this will be Dan's drop score, and that is his saving grace. His problem is Clouden needs to score big. If Clouden scores big, he could still end up taking points off of Dan.
Yeah, and Clouden at the moment sitting P3. He's about 2 seconds ahead of Stein, but he's 2.5 behind Ben.
And P3 gives you 45 points to go with his 33. Well, that's 78. So he'll actually gain nothing on Dan. So at the minute, you have to say for Clouden, he needs a win or a second place to gain anything on Dan. For Dan, you can kind of, breathe a sigh of release. Yes, not the night you'd have wanted, but at the same time, you've not lost any points to Clouden. And this race isn't over.
To the race. He's back on track. So that must have been internet. Or he lost connection like I just did.
Yeah, possibly so. So let's wait and see. He is, though, pretty much out of this race. 19th place, 4 laps down. It's obviously going to be a case of... It is still points. And that's his bonus, is it is still points. And, more importantly, it's not a qualifying ban. We have just lost another driver from this race. We're down to 19 again.
Who have we lost now?
Eckholt, Ben, Cloudenstein, Pacina, Harris, Gary, Insert Coin, Ramey, King, Kreuzer, Friedman, Gray, Fuchs, Mathews, Schundelmeyer, Sky. And is that because of that spin all on his own, or did he get a tap? I'm not sure, but Sky for BSP gone. Well, he's had a retirement now.
Let's see if he can get back in, because I'm just going to see if Sky's stream's still up, just to have a look.
Well, this is interesting to see what is going on here, but we're losing. We lost Overtaker, we lost Sky. Right, so that is possibly a retirement. That'll be a qualifying ban in the next race for Sky Shundelmeyer, and already in this one it has been an absolutely epic, well I say epic night. This week of Watkins Glen's been chaos.
It's been feels, hasn't it? There's been a lot of feelings this race. I need a drink.
Yeah, Friedman now takes the fastest lap of the race. King's on the back of Ramey, and King's having a good night in the Vorta Racing McLaren, looking up the inside of Ramey. Ramey's around! Now, there was a little bit of lag at the time, but Ramey did go around. Will Friedman and Kreuzer slow down there as well? I think that's potential netcode / lag as Smokey pulls back in. I think that's Smokey's bit of an internet connection there that's lagged him out and has caused a bit of a netcode spin into the wall.
Yeah, that's what. Well, I'm now just gone to Smokey, so I didn't see it because I was trying to find another battle.
He's got huge damage on his Mustang. Kreuzer's going to come past him. Nobody's in the pit lane, so everybody's out. Overtaker's 5 laps down. Dennis is 4 laps down. Richard's 3 laps down. Dan's 2 laps down. Mike Matthews as well carrying damage. But Mike Matthews could come through this pack because there is chaos wherever you look in this race.
Mike's kept the curb and he's in the wall again.
And he's hit the wall again on rejoin.
You cannot.
And these walls hurt. We saw a lot of drivers clip a wall and get big damage. I think Mike's car is broken. I think he's struggling to turn that. Yeah, look at the front end. He's hit the wall hard. That's going to be a pit stop for Mike. Well, the SimPlay Racing crew have not had a day to remember. Neither's Richard Beasley, to be fair. He is still circulating, though. And look at this train of cars behind Ramey, Fernie, Fuchs and Gray in this. And Richard Beasley, who's a backmarker, trying to unlap himself. Smokey's round again. Fernie's in the wall and rejoins across the track, spinning.
I think Fuchs just slammed on his brakes there to avoid him.
Mike is crawling back to the pits. His only saving grace is that, in fact, it's not even a saving grace. Dan's just started a lap. Overtakers, I don't know if he's going to be racing Dan. He's 4 laps down on Dan, so he can't really race him. He's a back marker at the end of the day. And Ian Gray's now got ahead of Fuchs, and this is the closest fight on circuit.
Yeah, normally the rule is if Pro-Am's a bit questionable, Pro's quite clean. Not this week.
But we're seeing drivers, though. I don't think these are drivers hitting each other. We're seeing drivers make their own errors.
Their own errors, and because the field is quite close, you can collect them.
Mike is in the pit. Smokey's only just got going.
Because this is such a narrow circuit, and we've got another one next week, and the week after with Zolder. The only one that's quite wide will be Valencia at the end of the season. Because it's a point circuit.
Zolder's not too bad. Zolder's not too bad. We're going to have to keep our eyes out, though, as RB's trying to unlap himself from these guys. Through goes to 13, so Dennis Newman unlaps himself to Mike. Mike could be in here a while. This could allow Richard Beasley to unlap himself and maybe get ahead of a SimPlay car that will then. So from Mike down, everybody's got to pick twice.
Yeah. Well, but do you know what get reset if they left the lobby and come back? Their tyres. Smokey is in the pits as well.
So Smokey's in the pits. Clearly he's got damage as well.
My phone's just buzzed, so it's probably Discord. So, closest battle now on track is...
Closest battle is Ian Gray and Fuchs at the moment, with Richard Beasley, who's a lap ahead of them. So let's give you a rundown of the running order, and it's Michael Eckhart who leads by 2 seconds from Ben on for his first podium. Then it's Jamal Clouden from Kevin Stein, Matteo Pacina's P5 from Michael Harris. Gary Leach has dropped off the back a little bit, but he's still P7. Then it's Insert Coin P8, Travis King is P9, Will Friedman P10 trying to hunt him down. Then it is Kreuzer from Ian Gray with Fuchs on the back of him, Ramey Fernie in the pits P14, Mike Matthews in the pits P15, then it is Dan Davis, who I reckon will come round to pass his teammate in a moment. Richard Beasley P17, Dennis Newman P18 and Overtaker P19. If you're wondering what has happened to Ramey down, well, Ramey looks like he's returned to the pits to fix that damage. Mike's repairing damage, Dan's been repairing damage, Richard's repaired damage, Dennis has repaired damage, and Overtaker, we're not sure. We're thinking an internet connection problem is why he left the lobby and come back in.
Well, also one of the commentators that left the lobby and came back in because it got disconnected from the server. Yeah, I didn't leave the party, so it wasn't on the internet.
Yeah, going to be an interesting one. We do believe that Sky Schundelmeyer has definitely left the party. And this is going to be an interesting one to see. There is a yellow flag. That is Smoky Devil that is causing the yellow flag because he's returned to the pit lane under the yellow flag conditions. Now, we may have to jump into a Discord call to get Ben into the comms box to have a chat. Now, with Chris a few weeks ago, Ben's only 14 years of age, let's not forget. Young man. Approached by Kelly Davis, approached his dad at Thruxton. Kelly Davis, our sponsor of Audio Sport, approached his dad after Ben and Dan was on the simulators there trying to set fastest lap time. Ben beat Dan on the Saturday, Dan achieved that on the Sunday. Kelly approached Chris, his dad, and Chris the other week said that Ben's got to hurry up because it's his bedtime. Hopefully there's no bedtime now for the 14-year-old and we might be able to get a chat with him on stream.
It's the summer holidays, so how can you have a bedtime in the summer holidays?
Let's wait and see for the time being.
Then again, no, I can't actually remember being 14. It's probably a good thing.
No, I can't remember being 14 either. Fuchs still on the back of Gray. Cannot find a way through, Phil. Richard's back in the pits. What's happened to Richard? He was on the back of these two. He's returned to the pits. He did. But why is Richard all of a sudden back in the pit lane?
I don't know.
It's gone horribly wrong for Richard. Mike's out, and he's out ahead of Dan. He's on the 6 weeks. There we go. Chris saying that he's on the 6 weeks. If he gets the podium, hopefully Chris will be able to speak with him if he has a working microphone. Will Friedman's got ahead of Travis King. So Will Friedman's back up tonight after that incident with Dan. Will's got good pace. Will's got really good pace.
He has got good pace. That Porsche, his Porsche looked quite strong around here.
It's not going to look too strong on the grass there, though.
No, it's not a Honda.
He's only 2 seconds off of the Honda as well. Ramey's still in the pits. Richard Beasley's now in the pits. And what is Dan and Overtaker doing? They're weaving down the straights with each other. I mean, your lap's down, but come on, guys. There's, still a race happening out there.
Champions.
Makes no sense. Well, they're not in the way of any traffic at the moment.
Unless they're just having a little bit of fun because they know their race is pretty much...
Well, Overtaker's got a chance of catching Richard Beasley now. Dan's moved up to 15th place. He's 7 seconds off the back of his teammate. And they're only 1 lap down on the rest of the pack. And, well, the rest of the pack... Yeah, let's see. Chris says, problem is I owe him some money. Why would you owe me money if you got a little bet on about a podium in the championship? Well, there we go.
Up his allowance.
Yeah. So 2 cars still stationary in the pit lane. And where is Ben? He's 3 seconds off the back of Eckel. Jamal 1.2, not really gaining on him. So this is going to be an interesting one.
6.5 in McLeod and 6.5 in front of Stein. So, and pit window opens in 1.5 minutes.
In 1.5 minutes, yeah. So that's going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. Fuchs gaining on Ian Gray again.
So Fuchs has got... you can really say that name well, can't you? Wrong, can't you? Accidentally wrong, because it's supposed to be another word.
So Dan 7.6 now off of Mike after Mike's troubles. They're 3 laps down on the lead pack.
Gray's on the back of Cruiser as well, so...
This Cruiser had a mistake somewhere. Sparky Gamer, he's doing well. Yeah, I told him to play it cool for his first season, but he's desperate to be in the top 10 of the Drivers' Championship. Well, I reckon he's going to get top 10. He sat P13. There's no Hoffer here, and he's ahead of Gray. Mike Matthews is 10th. He's well ahead of Mike. So, and there's no Sky Schundelmeyer. So, top 10 could look pretty interesting, especially seeing as he joined quite late.
Yeah.
Right.
But I want to know how much money Chris owes him.
Yeah. So Richard Beasley still in the pits. I think Overtaker's about to pass Richard Beasley now. I think Dennis Newman's about to pass Ramey Fernie as well. So I think that's done 4 positions there. As the pit window now opens, we're going to start to see drivers come in. Will we see Eckel be the first man in?
he's got quite a comfortable lead at 3.7 seconds, haven't he?
Well, we've just seen that 208. That's Will Friedman who's stationary. There's no one around him. Gets back going now. Was all on his own there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can see any damage on
He's been passed by King. He was well ahead of King, so he's had a moment for Will Friedman on his own.
Possibly. Hard to say, because
Dan's actually lost time to Mike Matthews this lap. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what these guys do. So Eckhart stays out, Ben stays out, Jamal stays out, Kevin stays out, Cena stays out, Harris stays out, Gary stays out, insert coin, King, Friedman, Kreuzer, Gray. In fact, King's not even at the final corner yet. Newman's in. Mike's in. So Dan takes P14. King stays out. I wonder if Friedman will come in.
We'll have to see if Smokey returns to the race, because if he doesn't, that'll be another strike to his name.
Yeah, and one for Richard Beasley as well. Yeah, Kreuzer stays out, Gray stays out. Looks like Fuchs is going to come in, and as we know, Dan and Overtaker both stayed out. Overtaker sticking to the back of Dan, to be fair, but is a lap down to him. And they're both gaining, actually, on Gary Leach as well, so that's going to be an interesting one. Stein's been caught by Pacina. Stein's been passed by Pacina. So the gap's saying 7 tenths, but that gap looks like it's 7-8 tenths the other way.
It is like that. Has Stein made a mistake somewhere and Pacina's just
Must have.
bounced?
Must have. King's made a mistake through the bus stop. Friedman's now going to gain on the back of him. No, he's not. As Mike's night gets even worse. He's got a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pits. Best thing was, before we came on air, Mike said that I've nailed where I need to brake for pit entry. You haven't nailed it that much. And Friedman looks as loose as can be at the moment.
Has he got damage? Or?
Yeah, I think so. Dennis has done his stop. Where's Mike? Just coming down the back straight. I think Dennis will do Mike in the pits with that drive-through. Overtaker's now past Richard Beasley.
Yep.
Interesting one.
I think that's another...
Oh, Stein's got to run. Stein's got to run on Pacina. Out the final corner, down the start straight. And gets past him before the braking zone here then. So great to see.
Ferrari's got plenty of ponies there, haven't it? Oh, we've lost another driver.
We've lost Ramey. Ramey.
Yeah.
Now that could be internet. He has been lagging all night.
Yeah, he's been... Unless that's why he pulled over, because he knew he was lagging.
Cloudon's on the back of Ben.
Got a yellow around his dots, so...
So he's been off somewhere. So you're saying Mike?
Yeah, I've now just gone to him.
Don't see a lot of damage. We're going to stick to this Ben and Cloudon fight at the moment.
Yeah, but Cloudon's caught Ben back up, hasn't he? He's in this phase of the race. As Ben's there. Oh, Ben's lost the rear end.
Yeah, as he's gone round. He's gone round because he's not come through on camera. Pacina's not close enough. Where is it? He's still not going. Here comes Pacina and Stein and Harris. And Ben's still not going. Well, Chris might be able to hang on to his money for a little longer. Ben's now there. Dan's round again. That's at the same point as Ben just earlier in the corner.
Yeah.
Now, him and Overtaker was close, and we saw them weaving down the straight. Has there been a bit of a coming together? Was that just Dan on his own?
Right, Ben, get that in the pits.
Overtaker doesn't look like he's got any damage, to be fair, so...
No.
Dan probably just on his own there then. Harris on the back of Pacina now. Well, Chris might be able to keep some money in his pocket. There goes the podium. As Pacina's in, Harris goes through. Drive-through cleared by Mike. Dennis Newman did jump him. Did he? They've got Dennis has gone. Oh, Dennis has gone through sector 1, has he not? Yeah.
Unless there's another lap there.
No, Dennis is 4 laps down. Sorry, Mike and Dan are only 3 laps. Dan's now got even more damage. Well, that's a 0 to Smokey's name. That'll be another qualifying ban for Smokey Devil.
Well, yeah.
And bearing in mind, that's a qualifying ban for the entire week. So that'll be GT4s as well.
But then again, though, if he can prove it is his internet, because
if
we've
you
seen him lagging all night.
Yeah.
So, you know, the car's been teleporting like it's back in the pits and on track and off track, going to the moon. Got to see some ladies in the stands. Yeah, that's it.
Fair play from Ben showing the elders how to rejoin safely. Yeah, indeed, it was a great rejoin. So Dennis Newman now could get back on the rear of Dan Davis. I don't think Dan cares too much. He knows this is probably going to be his drop score. So I just feel like he's getting to the end to not get himself that qualifying ban. Here's insert coin with Will Friedman just behind him. Will Friedman a lap down to insert coin. Ben also a lap down in the pits. Fuchs not far behind, and Davis in the pit lane as well.
But Friedman's done his pit stop.
Dan's on the lead on the lap, same as Ben, according to this.
Interesting.
Ben's two laps down. It's saying Dan's 2 laps down. He's fixed his damage. So has Dan only got to go round and catch Ben now? Tough. Ben's just pulling away, so hard to do. Mike might not even jump his teammate at the minute, so Mike's pitted and done a drive-through. Dan's repaired all that damage and comes out ahead of Mike Mathew. So Dan moves up to 14th place in this race. Ben's angry now. Hopefully Ben doesn't drive angry. Sorry, Pian.
Coin just brushed the wall. I don't know why he's trying to defend from Friedman. He might as well let Friedman go, to be honest. He's that down to him.
Well, King's in the pits, and that's Coin's race, really. Eckholt's in from the race lead. Clouden takes control of the lead. Clouden now second. So now Clouden will gain, so what's that? 50 on top of his 33. So that's 83 points. If this is to be Dan's drop score, which we believe it is from 14th place with 15 points scored in race 1, Clouden will gain 5 points.
He let Friedman through. Because even I, from this angle, can see Friedman's car was a hell of a lot faster at this phase. There's no point fighting them.
No, there's not. There's not at all.
Because he's already pulled away out of blue flag zone range, so...
Not really a lot to talk about in this race. Richard Beasley, that could probably be a retirement.
How's the weather? Have you had any thunderstorms yet? Because I saw them going over the Midlands.
No thunderstorms at the moment. They've not forecast it for
it was raining at Silverstone, apparently, for MotoGP.
That's an hour and a half away from us. Nowhere near us.
Yeah. It's still close enough.
Harris is 2 seconds off the back of Stein. That's the closest thing to really tell you at the minute. Top stud Tenslon, if he gets his head down, uses those fresh boots. I agree. Ben's got pace over Fuchs and Gray and Gary at least. Eckholt, your net race leader. Clouden now reacts to Eckholt and brings it back into the pit lane.
Yeah, as Stein now takes the lead of this race. In the blue and green Ferrari. I don't like asymmetrical liveries. I don't know if I said it on stream before.
You have, yeah.
But they just don't look balanced to me. The car's got to be balanced, so it's got to be symmetrical.
Well, Ben's on the back of Harris at the minute, but Ben's obviously a lap down to Harris. Coins in with Clouden. So where's Eckholt in terms of Clouden's pit stop? Eckholt coming round the penultimate corner. Eckholt again in cruise control this second race, really. He's not put a foot wrong. You know, it was Dan coming together with Will Friedman and Dan coming together, should I say, that gave him that space behind. Clouden's not away. So where's Pessina? Pessina's now coming to the penultimate corner.
I'll tell you what,
Clouden's just gone green.
Drove well today.
He has. Eckholt through. Clouden's come off the limiter. I think Pessina could be a net third place, you know, when Harris and Stein decide to possibly bring it into the pits.
There's a little bit of rear end damage on Pessina's diffuser, so...
Yeah, clearly didn't feel that he needed to repair it in the pit lane, though, so he's done all right at the moment.
Yeah, but then again, it's probably improved the handling a bit, but sometimes a little bit of damage does. It's like, oh, let's fix the car now, somehow. Oh,
Stein's run off the track, coming through the heel, and that's going to allow Harris to just get a smidgen closer again. If I was Harris, I'd probably box, look for that undercut over Stein. Stein's had a good night. Stein's had a good night
as well. Contender for driver of the day, I think Stein is as well.
Yeah.
I think Stein and Harris are boxing.
Yeah, Stein's coming in.
Careful, Ben.
Harris is coming in as well.
Again. Oh, no.
And there goes Ben and Mike and Overtaker. Overtaker's still got a pit, let's not forget. And Richard Beasley, if he returns to that race, has got a pit as well. But for Overtaker, he's still got to go round and pit in the next 5 minutes. So he's still got plenty of time to do so. Obviously, he's not really going to lose anything if he doesn't pit, but yeah.
Yeah, the game started glitching for me again, so either it's the server or I'll be so glad to get rid of Talk in December. I really will. Because I finally had super fast broadband, unlimited power. I'm very excited for that.
I can tell. Kreuzer didn't pit. He's got Eckholt gaining on him. Yeah. So Harris now. Where's Pacina? So Cloudon's coming down the start straight. No one's gone green. Pacina through the final corner. Penultimate corner. Now into the final corner. Where's Harrison Stein in the pit box? Pretty close to the front, but Pacina's already coming down the start line. So here we go. They both go green. Stein's off the limiter now, and to the left of screen, you just got a shot of Pacina. Yeah, Pacina's jumped them. And Gary Leach might be able to try and get ahead of 1 or 2 here through turn 1. And Gary Leach, no, just behind Michael Harris. So no jumping for Gary Leach there. Insert coin ahead of Travis King by a good margin. Ian Gray's in the top 10. He's got Will Friedman trying to hunt him down. That's 14 seconds. And it's Fuchs. And then Ben, currently P13. Little wiggle there from Dan Davis, 14th. Mike Matthews in P15. He's 6 seconds off the back of his teammate. Dennis Newman in 16th place.
Sorry, Pacina was just taking a bit too much curve through the inner loop then.
Dennis Newman still 16th from Overtaker, 17th. And Richard Beasley. That is a DNF and probable qualifying ban in the next race, unless he gets going now and can carry on, because we know he's had a lot of damage. Gary, though, 1.4 off the back of Harris, closest fight on track.
Yeah, never quite a night for Gary, apart from the speeding penalty in race 1. But we're cross over that one. Oh, 13, Dennis Newman's around at the end of in the loop.
Yeah, he's back going now, must have just been his own spin. That was ahead of Ian Gray and Dan Davis coming through the inner loop. Gary Leach within a second now of Michael Harris. So Gary Leach able to try and do some business and maybe get himself in the top 6.
Yeah, right. Cruiser's in. So Eckholt now takes the race lead again. I'll tell you why, he's bloody good, isn't he?
He is.
Michael Eckholt.
He's not bad. Cloudon's gone through. Pacina's going to come through. As will Stein, as will Harris, as will Leach. That'll put Gary in the top 6. He's trying to gain on Harris for that top 5 now then. Insert coin will probably get past Kreuzer. Interesting little fight here. Interesting. It's been a strange day. We head to a tricky Zandvoort next time out. Rain around at the moment as well, we can tell you. Through goes.
For most of
the
week is rain showers.
Insert coin and kick. No, that's in Britain. I'm talking. We're not looking at British weather, are we?
No,
Zandvoort.
Holland's only about. Zandvoort's only about 30 miles across the North Sea.
True. Oh, Dennis is very slow. Dennis is very slow. Is Dennis boxing? Dennis is in. So for Overtaker, who's about to pit himself, right? So Overtaker here, depending on what damage Dennis has got, Overtaker's still got a couple of races a couple of laps to get in front. Gary's got ahead of Harris. We've missed that one. So Harris moves up to P5. Gary moves up to P5, sorry. 2.8 now to Stein. Pacina on the podium. What a drive from the Mustang.
Is that the Mustang's first podium, finally?
No, I think Pacina's had a podium. Yeah, Pacina had a podium. Race 1 of Red Bull Ring. Got a second place, so would have been reverse grid. He took a second place. So it'll be his second podium, and it'll be Ford's third podium because of Argent getting a second place at the Hungaro Ring last week. There's a yellow flag around Dan Davis's name. And that was coming down the outer loop. So has he had another moment? Can't see. Oh, he's got a bit of a scuff on the right-hand side of his car. So I'm not sure what's happened there. The 777, though, of Ian Gray is on the back of Kreuzer after the pit stop.
Yeah.
Not the night for Dan.
Catching. 10 seconds now. So that's gone down by 4 seconds within 2 rounds.
Friedman's charging on Ian Gray. And Ian Gray's now on the back of Kreuzer. Harris on the back of Gary Leach.
Yeah, this is a night where you want to control, alt, delete and reset ready for next week.
Yeah, massively so. And Zandvoort, tricky circuit to get right, so it's going to be one BMW looks like the favourite on the BOP screens that we have in front of us. Now, Dennis still in the pit lane. He's just leaving the pit lane now. Overtaker's on the outer loop. So Overtaker's got 22 minutes to gain some more points over Dennis Newman.
Yeah, he's also right behind Harris at the moment. But, again, he's several laps down. You might as well just let him through.
Yeah, you may as well just let him through. But at the same time, Harris is trying to chase down Gary. Overtaker's now got something to hunt. He's got something to hunt. He's got Dennis Newman, who, if Dennis makes another mistake, he can hunt after him and try and get the move done.
Yeah, he can, but the closest battle is Croyser and Bray right now, as they head into the first part of the boot, the ankle.
The chute, I believe it's called. Down through they go. Oh, he's hit a curb! He's hit a curb! He's hit a wall!
Croyser hit the curb.
Oh, Dennis! Dennis has swerved to avoid him. Very strange that Dennis swerves like that. And Dennis Newman's now hit the wall.
Yeah.
This is what we're saying. Overtaker now. He has that chance. He's just crossed the start line. Newman's just gone through sector 2. And depending on that damage to Dennis Newman's car, Overtaker has a chance of gaining another place. Overtaker's drop score, let's not forget, is already, I think, 0. Yes, it is. Yep. So this is all points for Overtaker in this championship. So, let's see.
We've got 20 minutes of fun.
Gary's dropped Harris, by the way. Harris has got no answer to Gary. And Gary's 2.6 off the back of Stein. So can Gary catch Stein? Can Stein catch Pacina?
Did Gary change tyres and Harris not?
I reckon possibly so for Gary. Harris not changing tyres, not sure. But let's see. Croyser's back in the pit lane, so that's going to give Fuchs Ben another place. And depending on how much damage he's got, by the way, that's going to allow Dan to unlap himself. Now, means nothing for Dan, but it means a lot for Mike. As here they come, look, the SimPlay Racing boys. Over the line they go. They need Croyser in there for more than a bit more of a lap.
No Crofty. No Crofty. Don't rate him at all as a commentator. Ben Edwards.
Stein 2.1 to Pacina now. So Stein's gapped Gary a couple of tenths and has brought the gap down to Pacina out front. Mike's 9 tenths off the back of Dan. So is that because of Dan's latest spin? Not sure. Now, is this a tactic game here? Mike's drop score is 0. Dan surely has to know this is going to be his drop round. Would he not let Mike go? More points for the team. Surely.
Yeah.
Mike's drop score is 0, so it doesn't matter how bad a night Mike has, he's not getting lower than his best, his worst. So, surely for Dan, this is going to be Dan's drop score, no matter if he finishes 14th or if he finishes 15th. Surely it's in the benefit of this team, especially with Arby not finishing this race and is going to score nothing, as Dan's wide, or is that wide on purpose? Is that wide through a little understeer? Dan still has, Mike still hasn't got past him. I think the strategy is potentially to let Mike go there, to be fair to you,
yeah. PM. He's the one who will be scoring points. And at the moment, Dan's taking the points.
Croyser
away from him.
Is just leaving the pits. Here comes Ben. So there's a race on now. Will Friedman's 5 seconds off the back of Gray. There's a race on between Ben and Croyser.
Yeah.
So
that podium will come, Ben. When it does, it will be the sweetest tasting thing ever.
It will.
It took me to Abu Dhabi in that season of F1 21.
Stein now within 9 tenths of Pacina. Look, he's gapped Gary by an extra second. Harris has fell right off the back of Gary Gary Leach. Said his PSN name again. Overtaker's got past Harris.
That's the thing. When you've been racing people for what, 4 years?
Yeah. Who said this the other night? Was it Dan who said this? We was having a chat with Dan, wasn't we, about this? Was it Dan or was it Tony? I can't remember. And we were saying that when you're used to saying people's PSN names, might have even been Gary himself.
Especially like beforehand, when I used to race a lot of Gran Turismo 5 and 6 online on PS3. I did 24 hours races on there if you crash out, you're out. But yeah, you're so used to everyone's PSN names,
exactly,
because that's what you see. On the PS4, PS5, you could have it so your real name displays and stuff like that.
Speaking of Gary, then, the one thing Gary needs now is for Stein and Pacina to have a big fight. Gary closes that gap, possibly looks at a podium. That's what Gary needs.
Yeah.
Oh, Dan's had a moment, and Mike still now can't get past. That's the other fight that's happening between these two.
Meanwhile, Ben is
and
all
Mike
over
now
Kreuzer.
goes up the inside, and through he goes. Ben's all up the back of Kreuzer, so Mike's through. I think it's wise for Mike to finish in front, to be honest. Best thing for the team.
Well, FPL's going to score a bit with Harrison P6.
Yeah.
So
here comes Ben, pulls out, tries to look that outside line of the bus stop chicane, the inner loop, as it's known, over Kreuzer. Kreuzer all over the curb. That sets him up poorly for the back part of it, but manages to get through.
As well. Ben took grass. He did.
Right, Gary's now 4.7 behind Stein as well. Stein's right up the rear wing of Pacina. 16 minutes left. There's a yellow flag. That is Overtaker who's back in the pits.
Yeah, so
that's him not catching Dennis Newman.
No.
So what has happened to Overtaker there then?
I don't know. I'm not asking questions. Dan and Mike, I think, are just playing with each other.
Yeah.
Because they're side by side again.
Yeah.
They're doing photo ops.
Well,
that's what they're doing.
You know, Dan was weaving with Overtaker. He's now, him and Mike are now as long as they don't get in anybody's way, the leader's catching them. So they've got to behave. The leader's catching them.
Yeah, especially as soon as you get that blue flag.
It is what it is, isn't it? But we're watching this fight for P3 and 4, final podium spot. Gary's gained a couple of tenths over Stein.
For now, this phase of the race, that Ferrari's looking very racy.
Yeah, it is. The Mustang seems to have just dropped off a little bit at the end. And, he's trying to tuck underneath as Stein goes wide on exit. As Pacina goes wide on exit. And I think Stein had a little twitch there mid-corner. That's allowed him to not get the run he needed. This is what Gary wants. This is exactly what Gary wants.
And there's a Porsche over the brow of the hill now. Gary is a-coming.
Yeah, Gary is a-coming.
And meanwhile, Ben is right on the back of Kreuzer as they go into the inner loop again.
Yeah, both got a better run through that. We are going to stick this battle for the podium spot, though. At the moment, you keep your eyes on Ben and Kreuzer. As here is Pacina. Just that bit of rear end damage for the Mustang. I wonder if that's just what's hampered him a little bit. There's Gary in the background.
Meanwhile, Friedman has caught Gray as well.
Not surprised. Friedman's been pumping in good laps. Pumping in good times. Gary's 5.1. Gary's actually lost time. Friedman side by side with Gray. Not just caught him side by side. Up the inside at heel. And through he goes.
Yeah. That's P9 for Friedman. We lost another car.
Beasley's gone. Beasley's gone. Oh no, we've lost.
We lost Beasley, Smokey,
and Sky. Yeah, and Sky. That's right. So Beasley's gone in this race. That'll be a qualifying ban for each of them next week. Here comes Stein, though, still on the back of Pacina.
He's nearly under the diffusal of that Mustang.
Pretty much. He's camping on it. And you know the stupid thing is, they've gapped Gary half a second through Sector 1.
Is Stein pushing Pacina forward? They're bump drafting? I don't know if Ferrari made a NASCAR.
Must be at the moment, because I tell you what, they are gapping Gary. Gary's brought the gap down 2 tenths through the middle sector. Gary would love a podium.
He would. Clover's only 7 seconds off Eckhart, so that gap's gone down a little bit. But Eckhart could be.
I think probably Eckhart's managing. Now. Yeah, exactly. He's probably managing. Dan's still within 3 tenths of Mike. Ben's lost time to Cruiser. It's gone up to 2.8. And Overtaker is back out of the pits, circulating around the track. Well, that puts to bed any fight between Overtaker and Dennis Newman, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's now 3 laps between them according to that time and 3. Ben's fault. I think Chris is saying about a lot of things. Ben went for a move and lost time.
So that will explain that one then. But right now we're watching that battle for second place. It's Michael Eckholt who leads from Jamal Clouden. It is Matteo Pessina from Kevin Stein. Gary Leach is P5. He's gained a 10th in that final sector as well. Then it's Michael Harris from Insert Coin with Travis King from Will Friedman. Ian Gray, Mark Fuchs, Kreuzer from Ben. Ben's going to try and catch Kreuzer back up. Then it is Mike Matthews and Dan Davis. There they are. Then it is Dennis Newman. When he appears on screen, there he is. And Overtaker bringing up the rear. Closest fight on circuit at the moment is that Dan and Mike one, but we believe that is Mike going to hold position, is what we're thinking in best for the team. Dan's just let Eckholt go through. Here now comes Pessina and Stein, the other closest fight. It's no longer 7/10. That's a little bit closer here.
No, that's 4 tenths. It just went through a timing loop then. That Mustang, where that Ferrari you need to get past is on the straight.
Looks like Ben's gone sideways and caught it during the move. Gary's gained now to 5.1. So now is it maybe that time where Pessina and Stein now are just starting to hold each other up a little bit, that, you know, now is where Gary's gaining slightly, but he needs to gain a little more than a couple of tenths a lap.
Yeah, we've only got 10 minutes of the race left. Because Eckholt is halfway around the circuit from these lot anyway, so... It's just the straights and Mustang's just more grunt. It's going to have more grunt growing up through the S's as well.
So this first sector is where that Mustang's going to be so strong.
Yeah, this first sector, this is Mustang town. Yeah. Right here. And
Massively
then after the inner loop, that's Ferrari country.
Well, 10 minutes to go in this race, in what is just quietening down a little bit here.
Apart from the battle for P3.
Apart from the battle for, yeah, but bar this, it's pretty quiet.
Yeah, so, yeah, Mustang pulled out a couple of attempts there. But now, this is where the Ferrari should, in theory, catch back up. Because now we're in Ferrari town. Or country, or territory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
see?
You just see the way that Stein catches up there.
Yeah. But as soon as you got the grunt, of course, it's probably a good thing we don't have bombs up this season. Or Spa.
Imagine. Yeah, imagine that.
They're power circuits. But then again, though, Spa could pretty much be wet as well.
It's just going to be one of them, isn't it, to see what happens come Spa this time of year, isn't it? We're going to find out when we get there in September as to what the weather will be. Yeah,
we will, because in September we have round 3 of our endurance series.
And it gains an hour. 4 hours of Spa this time.
So I've got to try and drive the car for 2 hours.
Ben's back on the rear of Kreuzer, but Pessina was looking to the outside of Pessina. This is where Pessina is going to be strong, though, down that start straight. Like you said, it doesn't matter seem to be what you do. Pessina gets that grunt and pulls away. Gary's back to 5.2. He had a big wiggle, did Gary, there, coming out the final corner. Nearly stacked it in the wall.
Making that Porsche dance. Because there we go. Watch the Mustang slowly pull away.
And Gary gains 2 tenths here. And again, this first sector is where the Mustang is going to gain its time.
Yeah, with its big V8 motor, which hasn't had additional cooling by having the bonnet lifted.
Kieran Margin.
Did you see that comment I put in the chat yesterday? It's for extra cooling. Overtaker set fastest lap.
Overtaker has set fastest lap.
Yeah, so that's
Overtaker has set fastest lap.
I've just looked at the timing board and see he's got the purple for fastest lap.
Well, it's an extra point for him in his championship run. Probably after his incident, had a change of tyres and did that. Ben's right with Kreuzer.
And Stein's right with Pessina again.
He's got the run up the inside, manages to get a switchback. Ben went up the inside through the S's now, and Ben side by side with Kreuzer ahead of Kreuzer through the S's. Great move from the 14-year-old. He moves up to P12 now. It's a shame he's a lap down on the rest of the field. And Stein still stuck behind Pacina. Gary's now 4.7, so Gary just needs to get a little bit closer.
He does, because these two are... Oh, Stein's having a look in the final corner, but Pacina covered him off.
Stein started to look. He's now going to have a look up the inside. Look, coming down the start straight. This should be where Pacina should have that horsepower down the straight. But Stein's got enough of a run. Has he got enough of a car up the inside? He has. He gets the job done. Pacina tucks in behind, and Stein moves back up onto the podium. That's a great bit of racing from the two in third and fourth. And it is a fantastic move from Kevin Stein to put him into P3. But it's not done, PN, you feel?
No, it's not done. There's now the horsepower up for... Mustang comes in. Stein covers...
Oh, they've made contact! Pacina's tapped Stein around. Stein is backwards. He's fully on the brakes. The tyres aren't moving. Pacina's off as well. And here comes Gary. Mr. Opportunistic, if you will. He is as lucky as can be. He's now on the podium for P3. Gary Leach is going to be singing his praises.
So what I could see there, Stein moved over, and because Pacina was getting a better run, he made contact with and now that Ferrari just does not want to turn, and turned in on Pacina. So it was no racing rule given for Pacina there.
Yeah, that one will be interesting if a ticket goes in. It's hard to tell from the camera angle, but did Stein just try and close that door too late?
Yeah, because Pacina was already there, and that Mustang is a big car.
You know what Gary will be thanking, don't you?
Mama for the carrots.
100%. He'll be thanking more than his mama for the carrots. The 952. That is Fuchs, who's now had a moment. And here comes Jamal Clouden. Wow, Clouden, that's the line. Wow, Mike, that's even wider. So we go on board Fuchs, who's had a spin, and Clouden and Mike go very, very wide there.
They were checking the marshals were okay.
Right, run through the race order, and it is Michael Eckhout who leads from Jamal Clouden. That gap is now 5 seconds. Gary Leach sitting P3 from Pacina, still in fourth now after that incident. Michael Harris moves up to fifth, so he gains, whereas the SimPlay racing drivers lose out due to this race. That's more points that Harris gains. Stein's now P6. Insert Coin 7th. Travis King's P8. Will Friedman is down in 9th. Ian Gray's P10. Mark Fuchs P11. Ben P12. Kreuzer 13th. 14th is Mike Matthews. Dan Davis running 15th. Dennis Newman 16th. An overtaker a lap behind Dennis Newman, but with fastest lap of the race.
Yeah. So, and 3 retirements.
Yeah, we lost Ramey Fernie, we lost Sky Schundermeyer, and that of Richard Beasley.
Yeah. Ain't that funny, but we get more people turning up for Pro-Am.
5:13. That 5:12. That is
Stein.
That is Stein, who's had another moment.
Because that car going backwards and it fully locked up, but you're on the grass. The car don't stop on the grass.
Oh, he's round again. He's that car. Ballooned. His tyres are ballooned, and I reckon that car's got major damage. Overtaker's done well to miss the back of him.
Yeah, I think the tyres are gone very hot air balloon straight.
Yeah. Yeah. Insert Coin and King's gone past. Will Friedman's now going to gain on the back of Kevin Stein. It'd be interesting to see if that ticket goes in, though, Phil, to see who did what, because the camera angle didn't really tell a story there.
No, but what I can see from my many years of watching car racing and doing karting, hence why my body's so broken. That did look like there's just wasn't enough room given for Pacina from that camera angle. But again, if it's put in as a ticket, we will see the footage and see everyone's POVs and the stewards. So...
Oh, Stein's dropped it again. Look, right in front of Will Friedman. He manages to avoid it. Ian Gray's coming through.
Them tyres are cooked.
Yes, I think Stein's got a pit. Ben is going to try and unlap himself from Ian Gray. He's not got time, but if Stein keeps going like that, he's just unlapping himself from Stein. I think Stein's going to box.
He is on the box because I reckon them tyres, not only that, but they'd be flat spotted.
Yeah,
wouldn't they?
massively. There'll be 50 pence pieces. Stein's coming in. That could be damage as well. Ben, I tell you what, Ben could be close to him with one lap to go, 2 laps to go. What's Gary done?
I went to Gary. He was sliding through the toes on the boot. He was absolutely power sliding it. You've got 2 minutes yet, Gary. You need to hold on a lot longer than that.
And you've only got 5 seconds to that Ford Mustang. Interesting to see. Right. Cloudon's now 3.7 to Eckholt. So Cloudon's coming on Eckholt here.
Yeah, he's got to get past the lap car of Dennis Newman.
Fuchs goes past Stein. So Ben now, outer loop. You keep an eye on when Stein leaves the pits. I'll keep an eye on Ben, who's trying to unlap himself from Ian Gray. Ian Gray may as well just let Ben go. They're not, unless they're having a nice little battle.
I'll keep an eye and see if Stein goes, but
The
it
minute
depends how much damage he's got.
Yeah, the minute Stein starts moving, Ben's now at toe.
I don't think it is called so, but that's how...
Dan's round, Dan's off at the bus stop. At the inner loop, he's made another mistake at the same part of the track. He's had no luck there all night. Insert Coin's now got Travis King on the back of him. And King's going to pull to... In fact, Insert Coin's got huge damage.
It's all just falling apart, isn't it? So I'm just keeping an eye to see Stein's car moves.
It is a little bit, Jacob. We're not sure if it was internet connection, though, with Overtaker or not. With him being laps down, he is now a back marker, so he has to abide by them rules and can't really interfere. He can obviously unlap himself, as the rules state. Travis King now moves up to 7th. Where's Ben? Ben's coming. Stein's not moving. Kreuzer might come through as well. Stein down to 11th. Stein down to 12th. Ben's now back up to 11th.
Yeah, Stein's still not moving.
Dennis Newman's got damage again. Mike's just passed in with ease. I tell you what, Mike Matthews...
tries to survive.
No, Eckholt's on the final lap. If Mike could get ahead of Eckholt miraculously, I don't know how that would happen unless Eckholt ran out of fuel or something. If Mike got past Eckholt in Cloudon, Mike would get another lap and would get past Stein.
He would, yeah, because Stein could have 2 minutes worth of damage.
Oh, pressed the wrong button there. Now, also to note, Will Friedman, where is he? He's coming through toe. Insert Coin with a lot of damage is coming down towards heel. In Ian Gray, Will Friedman could get another place here. Easily. So keep our eyes on Insert Coin.
Yeah, what a drive by Eckholt, though. It's been a lights to flag, really, as he rounds. Let's not do a curse of a commentator on him yet. Because he's only now into toe.
Right, where is Eckholt?
Cloudon's
coming down the boot. Yeah, Cloudon is on him, 2.3 seconds. I think it's too little too late. He's got 4 corners. And Eckholt is then going to win this race. Exactly, that's the thing, Jacob. Connection can't be helped, and we just don't know if they do lose connection or not. So Stein...
the joys of online racing.
Stein's still not moving, but it's not going to help Mike Matthews. Eckholt cruising, do you reckon, just bringing it home?
Bringing it home, but Cloudon is looking really rapid. And Cloudon would gladly take a little sneaky race win.
Well, Michael Eckholt, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a race winner this season. It's been a great start to his championship. Cloudon's going to come home for P2. A shame that he came in so late. Gary Leach, he's on for 3rd place. He's got 6.1 seconds. Kreuzer finishes down in P12. Mike Matthews finishes 13th. Just couldn't, didn't need that extra lap to get ahead. Dan Davis is going to be... Oh, no, he got... actually, Mike Matthews on the standings got ahead of Stein, it says. So Dan Davis, then I assume, is he going to get 14th place? Here comes Gary Leach, so great drive from him. Dan Davis does get 14th place. Good drive from him. Harris right on the back of Pacina at the very end. But Pacina is going to come home for P4. Harris will take P5. I'm sure he'd have loved some more points here in that one. King's a little further back. Dennis Newman's finished down in 16th place. As we know, Overtaker 17th with that fastest lap. It's going to be King who will come across the line for P6. Insert coin will just hang on in there for P7. Will Friedman will come in for P8. Ian Gray is going to finish P9. Fuchs has finished P10. Ben's going to get P11. Stein, obviously, we know 15th place. And then Ian Gray is going to come across for P9. Right. I don't know. Just invite them all in just in case. But, what we will do is we will stay in here because I don't believe there was an Xbox driver. All PlayStation. Give Will Friedman the chance to come in as well. And while we do this, we are just going to quickly work out the drop scores. Like we said, we assumed it would be Dan's. It is Dan's. That one is fine for Gary Leach. That one is also fine for Clouden. That it is also going to be RB's drop score, so he gains a couple of points. It will not be Insert Coins. It will not be Ben's. It will not be Eckholt's. It will not be King's. And it will not be Kreuzer's. So in terms then of this Drivers' Championship, and well, the gap was down to 80-odd points after the first race. It's now back, it stayed at 81. Clouden gains over Dan Davis tonight, even with Dan's drop score. So Clouden gains, that's 81 points to gap. Overtaker's 151 behind. Harris is P4, 172 back. Eckholt now into P5 ahead of RB. What a shame he didn't do the full season. I reckon Eckholt will be the one to be watching in this championship. RB's P6 from Gary Leach, P7. Insert Coin P8 from Mike Matthews, 9th. He goes ahead of Sky Schundelmeyer. Ian Gray, P11 from Ben in P12. Hoffer, P13. Pacina's in 14th. Dennis Newman from Fuchs, Stein, King, Burton, Flemspeed 1. Joe Bates. Then it is O'Reilly, Ramey, Saber, Kyle, Mitrovicanen, Cruiser, Clarbel, and Joseph bringing up the rear. SimPlay Racing have an 85-point Constructors' Championship lead, and Team FBR second place. Quantum Apex P3 from Greasy Bandits Racing 4th. Jaeger Motorsport P5 from GK. Effect Motorsport BSP Independent. Effect Motorsport 2. FSO with Auto Racing and Smoky Racing bringing up the rear. We are joined though by 3 drivers, and it's the 3 drivers who got in the podium in race 2. Who got in the podium race 1? Sky Schundelmeyer, he's not here. Friedman and Stein. So let's see if them 3 join. But we will speak with probably one of the flukiest men at SimPlay Motorsport, Gary Leach, who's probably not just thanking his mum, he's thanking everybody for the carrots. Because, you wasn't in that podium fight, was you?
100% no. I was barely on the track, to be honest with you. But, just plug away and, reap other people's mistakes.
Reap other people's mistakes. Obviously, you've had the season, obviously not good looking at the constructors since we had to separate due to me coming back to the commentary box. But it's been about staying in that top 10 in the championship and really getting to grips with this Porsche a bit more.
Yeah, I haven't had no testing on this track. It helped having the GT4 run on Tuesday. I had a couple of laps in practice and didn't even realise I hadn't even loaded a setup. I was literally on default and I thought, this don't feel too bad. I'd run the first race with that setup. Then loaded the setup, made a few tweaks, and it seemed to be alright.
Now, from what I can gather, I listened to Dan's stream while in the mid-session break. No socks, came in a bit sharp to the pit lane in race 1. Foot slipped off the brake pedal and, it made the ankle a bit sore.
Yeah, I've got a nice red grave down the ankle. You know me, I had to get little into bed, and I weren't quite prepared for it. But never mind. I still don't think I'd have stopped in time anyway. To be fair, because as we know, GT4 you don't have to pit, so I didn't even know where the line was anyway.
Yeah, fantastic. Always practice it in testing. We go to Zandvoort next week, a track that we know quite well from Formula 1 games. We've been there once or twice in the past. What can you do around there? Porsche should be a decent car around there.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to Zandvoort. I don't mind the track, and like you say, the Porsche is fairly good around the corners, and that's quite a flowing, cornery track. So, we'll plug away and see if we can get some more points.
Gary, best of luck. The technical term there, flowing, cornery track. Remember that one. We then move to our P2 man, Jamal Clouden. Jamal, again, another race where you caught Eckholt too late.
Yeah, it was. I think I was trying to anticipate when he was going to box, and as soon as I saw him at the last second going into the pit lane, I was just like, damn. But again, it's just one of those things. But either way, I'm happy. I'm happy with the result. Just stay clean, stay consistent. So yeah, I'm happy.
Now you've got the gap down to 81 points to Dan Davis. There is still 339 points up for grabs. You've still on this championship, aren't you? Dan just looks like these last 2 weeks, you know, that's been his drop score twice. You're starting to gain on him a little bit now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just starting to just take each race as it comes, just trying to stay as clean and as consistent as possible. That's just literally my main focus for the remainder of the last half of the season. So yeah, pretty much that's it.
That's the one. We go to Zandvoort next week, Jamal. You're in the McLaren. What can you do around there? I don't know how much you've done at Zandvoort. Obviously, only joining us last season. So, do you like the track? What can you do around the track?
Zandvoort, again, got a weird flow, similar elevation changes to Watkins, but I do like the track. It is flowy, so yeah, we'll see what happens next week. I'm feeling confident.
Well, Jamal, congratulations on tonight's second place. We'll see you next week for another race out there. And then we go to our race winner once again. It is Eckholt, who's really, once again, fantastic qualifying, fantastic race too. That's 5 wins this season. Just a shame you wasn't here at the start, because you'd be giving this championship a real fight. You're happy indeed. The pace is there. Clouden seems to be catching you at the moment at the wrong times. No, you're fine. No, you're fine. Zandvoort next week. Home race, I believe, for yourself. What can you do? Well, Michael, we'll let you go. Congratulations tonight on the race win. And moving into that top 5, top 6 in that championship fight. PN, final words from yourself and driver of the day.
Well, part of me want to give driver of the day to Pacina, because how the hell he dragged that Mustang so far up. But that was a very interesting pro, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think the stewards are going to be a little bit busy. But we move to Zandvoort next. I can't stand Zandvoort, I'll be honest. And tune in on Tuesday for GT4s. And Dan Davis and comms.
Yeah, tune in on So who did you give driver of the day to, sorry?
Pacina.
Pacina.
Oh, I'm giving it a Pacina.
Fair enough. I'm going to go the way of... I'm going to give it Will Friedman. I think he's had great pace all day. Shout out to Clouden, Eckholt, Ben. Give a shout out to Gary. You know, it's not often Gary gets on the podium. Pacina as well in that Mustang. Difficult to drive. But it's been an interesting day. The vote in the chat goes a split decision between Eckholt and Clouden as well for driver of the day. So the audience give it Eckholt and Clouden. And it's one vote for Pacina and for Friedman in the commentary box. But like PN says, 8 p.m. GMT +1 next Tuesday evening for the GT4s returning at Zandvoort. Pro-Am will be back same time on Wednesday evening with myself and Dan Davis, and myself and Phil will be back same time on Thursday for the pro race at Zandvoort. And then it's going to be an absolute fantastic action-packed weekend. You will not want to miss a single second of it, because it is going to be brilliant. And as well as everything else coming up at SimPlay Motorsport towards the end of this season. If you want to get involved here, don't forget to join the SimGrid and the Discord as well. Make sure you're on that Discord. If you like what you see here, hit the thumbs up button and that bell to be notified when we go live. And of course, hit that big red subscribe button as well. But from all of us here, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.